Damn it.
Caminandes!
Why would you do that? It's so loud. Like, great. That's right at the beginning of the recording too. Like for the people who listen to what Mula. It's gonna be.
That's right, everyone. That's a sneak peek at a future EFAP project. We're gonna EFAP movies. All of the watch together linked default animations. And we're gonna see which one's best. One of them's about like a bunny, a big fucking rabbit.
Yeah, there's loads of those ones. I think that's like a series. I don't know.
Oh god.
But
that's a whole series. Big Buck Bunny on all his adventures.
Do you know I was streaming today, and people were like, "You guys gonna get on doing Godzilla -1, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, and Aquaman 2?" And I was like, Jesus Christ, there's so many things to talk about. Have you seen The Fishman yet, Fringy?
The Fishman?
Mm-hmm, Fishman 2.
Oh, Aquaman. No, not yet.
Oh, you're missing out.
Well,
me and Rex saw it.
If I was going to describe it, when people ask if I've seen Rebel Moon, I'll just say I saw Rebel Moon. It wasn't as good as Aquaman 2.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Okay, yeah.
I've seen some people say that Aquaman 2 was terrible, awful, miserable, just the worst thing ever, and it's like...
I don't know if it was miserable.
I
think we had fun making fun of it as we were watching it. Rebel Moon was miserable.
I agree with you, yes. I agree completely.
It's going to be sad, because it's like, wow, this is the end of the DCEU, huh?
Aquaman is indeed a dude bro movie for at least half of it. Kind of weird, in fact.
It is kind of weird, yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we get the Orm cinematic universe going after that movie. Seems to be the one.
I'd watch the Orm cinematic universe.
Mm-hmm.
I would ponder the Orm.
I mean, he was pretty funny in the first one.
Yeah, but
unintentionally.
That's the thing. They kind of like lent into and characterized him better in the second one than in the first one.
Okay.
Like he's more well-rounded now, and he's willing to accept that he was kind of a clown in the first one, but he's also everyone's a clown in this one. So you know what I mean? It's like
okay.
Kind of weird.
Yeah. But, do they still play his theme?
I think so. I can't even remember anymore.
That's brilliant. Okay, that's great. If they play his theme even once, I'll enjoy it more than Rebel Moon.
Well,
that was really miserable watching that movie.
Yeah, Rebel Moon was actually miserable.
Horrible, terrible film.
Yeah.
For those curious about Rebel Moon, do not see it. It is miserable. It's not funny. It's not fun to make fun of.
No.
The most incredible thing about
through and through
Rebel Moon is that you're sitting there with your, all your files and your notes, and you're like, all right, what is the set of worst movies ever? And then Rebel Moon bursts in, it says, fuck all those files, I'm here. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, I got asked the other day what I thought the worst movie of the year was, and I was like, oh, well, it's probably like Ant-Man or the Marvels, and then someone was like, hey, well, you haven't seen Rebel Moon yet. Now I have, and now it's in the running. My least favorite movie this year.
It's a big contender.
It really is.
It's gonna get you.
That was a painful experience.
There is a kind of misery that Rebel Moon brings to the table.
By the way, fun little factoid to just make you think. Zack Snyder was the cinematographer on Army of the Dead and Rebel Moon. He was not the cinematographer on the films that he made before those two.
The one that everyone says have amazing cinematography?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's
just something
bit of an
interesting to bear in mind.
Everyone says like his vision is great in films that he's not the cinematographer on. That's kind of interesting.
Which again, there's still something there, but I do find it interesting that the films that have been like the most unbearable visually that he's made are the ones where he was the cinematographer.
Well, yeah, because Army of the Dead was one of the most unpleasant movies to watch visually I've ever seen. To the point where I don't know if any movie.
Did I get a headache from it? I could have sworn I got a headache from it. I
wouldn't be surprised if you got a headache from it.
Yeah.
I kind of was feeling pretty bad after it was done.
It was painful. Also, someone asks, is this live or pre-recorded? Pre-recorded. Pre-recorded.
Yes.
Yes, pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded seconds ago.
Mm-hmm. Amazing technology we have. Also, welcome, Cinematic Venom. Do you want to tell me what you want to go by? Well, I'm assuming, do you want to be just calling you Sin or Cinematic or probably Rob, I'd imagine. Is that
you can call me
CV?
Rob, Cinematic Venom, either way. I've seen all the memes that are coming up in the chat as well for no reason. And
no
reason.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're quite excited that
I've seen you guys have made a lot of memes about me, and they're very creative, so I've been loving every minute of it.
Oh, the EFAP fans.
The for no reason meme pops up all the time.
All the time.
It's got some staying power.
Well, and we got the Nor
it,
from Fringy meme, and they combine them for Nor reason.
I've seen a lot of like anti-gay memes as well. They're quite good ones.
Quite good anti-gay memes.
Yeah,
The achievements of
beware of the
EFAP
gay.
chat. But yeah, hey, great to have you on. I know that you've been through all kinds of different things, this, that, and the other, and that I'd reached out to you before, and that you wanted to have your own time to do your own things, and that's absolutely okay. All I want to do is apologize for not getting back to you. Fast Drive, I just completely swamped with all kinds of things. But here you are, and I suppose
we are here now.
Before we chat to you about your epic return to reviewing Lord of the Rings, well, we could probably just talk to you in general. How you doing?
Yeah.
What's up? What are you doing with your life in general?
Well, I'm doing a lot better now. Obviously, I had a bit of a mental episode when this stream happened. That was my issue, not your guys. I took that the completely wrong way. But yeah, the EFAP community have actually been really welcoming, as they still are in the chat as I'm reading along there.
I'm sure,
Return
like I
for
said,
no reason.
they're
Yeah.
going to be very excited and hyperactive. Well behaved, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, when the stream dropped, I did say this on a previous podcast, but I thought you guys were assholes. I only caught about 10 seconds of it, and I was having like a really bad week. So what had happened was someone tagged me on Twitter, and I caught about 10 seconds, and basically someone said, "Well, your opinion is wrong," and that was all I needed. I was like, "Well, screw you then." And I just kind of thought you guys shat all over my review. I hadn't rewatched the review itself since it came out, so I just thought it was very much, they don't respect my opinion. It wasn't until months later I thought, you know what, I'm going to sit down and record myself rewatching it for the first time with a friend. And everything you guys said was justified. I'm not going to lie. Why did Gimli want Frodo to die? That is the main question.
We still try to figure it out to this day, right? Gotta really, it's a lot of subtext stuff. I think it's to be drawn out.
Yeah,
of
I
it.
mean, when I decided to re-review it, I actually sat down with the intent. I was like, look, I'm probably still gonna hate the films, but at least I'll articulate myself a bit better this time. And then I got through Fellowship. And I messaged my mate who loves Lord of the Rings, and I said, I kind of enjoyed Fellowship. And I've never seen him so smug before in my life. And he was like, oh, wait till you get to 2. And then, yeah, the same thing happened with Two Towers, and then Return of the King. I actually really liked all of them. It was not a case of me putting on a front to make amends or anything. I genuinely really liked them. Earlier in the week, I attempted to watch the extended cuts for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have time to watch all of them, but I did watch the extended cut of Fellowship. I have quite a short attention span, but I was amazed because I actually really enjoyed it. There were things like at the start of Fellowship with the like the backstory of the hobbits and stuff that I don't think were really needed, but I still found quite interesting, if that makes sense. So yeah, no, I really like the extended cut. And over time, yeah, I look back and everything you guys said, completely justified. The video was awful. I cringe at it a lot, and people are still typing in the chat, Gimli wants Frodo to die. Yes.
That'll be the whole stream, I think. But yeah, well, that's really interesting, isn't it? Because like we actually did coverage of the trilogy again. We tend to come back to it every once in a while. The three of us adore it. It's an 8-hour video that came out. I don't know if you've seen any of it, but like we try to go over in that, like how much we think there's so much to praise about a lot of the execution in it. And yeah, I'd imagine that on multiple viewings you will end up spotting things maybe that you didn't before, or you know, beyond just pressure from people saying like you were wrong. I imagine that you know, it's good to hear that you would actually genuinely enjoy it. That's obviously what people would want.
But is it as good as Harry Potter?
I haven't seen Harry Potter in so long that I can't answer that question.
Me neither.
That was another thing.
I have not seen Harry Potter in ages.
I've only seen a few of them. Haven't seen all of them, so don't know.
I know
a lot of
The Moria troll
Really?
looks better than the first Harry Potter troll. All right, that's
Yes.
you just have to
Also,
have to get
doesn't
that.
the Goblet of Fire, isn't that the one with the time travel? Or no, Prisoner of Azkaban, right? That's
Yeah.
the time travel one.
Time Turner, yeah.
Goblet of Fire is the one where it's a very elaborate plan that was unnecessarily elaborate, right?
I've seen
Yeah.
addressals of that, if that's a word, of that criticism. I can't remember what the counters were. That's the thing. I'm so
They
out of the
can't be
loop.
good.
I'm so out of the
There's
loop on Harry
no-
Potter stuff that like it's
Like,
hard for me to remember.
I don't want to discount like people's defenses of it, but there's no fucking way you couldn't just have Harry touch a port key at any point that you wanted him to and just skip this whole song and dance.
I think it's still wacky that all those kids can just die in that competition.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? They can just fucking die. They can just be like, yeah, the dragon ate Billy.
kind of
So
school?
yeah.
Billy.
Billy got fucking eaten by the dragon. Because they have to randomly draw, and this is based off of a lot of past, like a bit redundant, but it's been a long time since I've read the books and watched the movies. But don't they have to randomly select which dragon they fight? And some dragons are pussies. And then Harry, of course, gets like the worst one, the Hungarian horntail. Ooh, the most devious and dangerous of all the dragons. And I'm like, okay, all right. No, that's fine. Fair enough.
One of them's
so
like floofy flea, but it's just this fat dinosaur dragon person that just like rolls around. Like, oh, there you
Even when
go.
I was a kid, growing up and reading the books as they were coming out, I remember when Goblet of Fire was coming out, or the movies or whatever, whichever one it was, it doesn't matter. And I realized that one of the challenges was you had to go to the mermaids and fight the mermaids to save someone. And I'm thinking, well, if you haven't figured out that this is all underwater, you just can't even do anything. You can't even participate in the competition because you have to go all the way underwater to the bottom of this massive lake.
Breathing apparatus prep, don't you? Then they all have like different.
So if you don't have that prepped and you're showing up to the challenge and it's in the middle of the lake and you're like, oh fuck, what's this all about? And you haven't figured out that you have to have some underwater like device, you're just screwed. You just can't participate in the challenge with everybody.
Hey man, it's ruthless, okay?
I guess.
People die.
I don't know.
Die.
I wouldn't be surprised if Harry Potter falls apart more than any other like series.
I haven't seen it in ages.
Even though I like the films, I consider it to be like the least consistent film franchise ever, because when they make each film, they just adapt specifically from the book rather than make a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't explain things from like previous films. They just adapt from the book.
Just get, like forgotten or
so there's a part in like the 8th film where he's got like a shard of glass that shows Dumbledore, and that's not in any of the previous films, but it's in the book. So if you've not seen the book, you're screwed. Whereas Lord of the Rings obviously was all made at the same time, which really helped.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have read the books to enjoy the films.
Yeah, I was about to say the Lord of the Rings is basically the opposite. It's all they're based off of the trilogy, but the films are very much in continuity with one another.
Yeah,
they sure are. Well, yeah.
But why are Sam and Frodo gay?
I don't know. We're trying to figure that one out too, because you're far from the only person that would have made that connection. That's a common one.
You know what? When I rewatched them, I actually specifically tried to find points where they might act quote gay. And by the end of it, I was like, nah, I'm stumped. I genuinely couldn't find one.
Well, most of it these days is people who want them to be gay, and if there was a new version, they would make them gay, and it's just like, man.
Well, it used to be that the gay jokes were tongue in cheek, and they were just memes. Like, it's memes that they're gay, and then people started to be like, no, they really are gay, just like the way that they say that this character's trans, that character's trans, stuff like that. But no, they're just super bros.
What I got confused about in Return of the King, I think Sam's marriage just seemed out of nowhere, but when I saw the extended cut of Fellowship, there's actually groundwork being planted there that kind of builds up.
That makes sense.
Fair enough. Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm at the point now where I've pretty much forgotten most of what the theatricals even look like. I know some scenes that have been cut out because I remember them being cut out for like being angry at them for cutting it out. But now there are scenes where if I was to rewatch the theatricals, I'd be like, holy fuck, they just jumped from this to this without even showing. Okay. We consider it quintessential viewing to go for extendeds.
Never saw the theatrical, only ever saw the extended, so that is my That's my only experience of Lord of the Rings.
It won't be a problem for us because if we watch the Lord of the Rings movies, they're always going to be extended. So that's not a issue that we have to worry about. Yeah.
Even after this review, like there's some things I say in the review that I actually disagree with now after rewatching them. So yeah, that could be interesting.
Well, I suppose because we can continue to talk about whatever basically as we go through it, but would you be interested in starting it up with us? We'll have a little look-see,
I'm nervous, man. Imagine I rewatch them like the movies and you guys are still like, nah, it's shit.
We completely reversed each other's positions where actually it turns out we hate it.
We hate it.
You've changed from hating it to loving it.
I've heard from several EFAP fans in the audience and stuff that they really liked your video on it, so I was always curious to see it. But I thought we should save it for getting you on as well to chat about this.
Christmas miracle.
It is. I was gonna try and do like get you for like 193 or 293, and then I was just like, fuck it, Christmas. It's a Christmas gift. They can wonderfully enjoy. All right, I've got this link here. Let's boot her up. I don't know. Is there anything you want to mention about like the production or this, that, and the other about it before we started up? It's completely up to you. Obviously, this is your video.
I mean, no, the review portion was actually done a year or so ago. And then I deleted my channel in like a mental breakdown. And when I brought it back, I was like, right, it was like episode 100 of my show, and I was like, this needs to be Lord of the Rings. So I inserted like a storyline just to reference the EFAP thing because I can't exactly hide it. If it's everywhere now, and I thought I'll embrace the meme, I'll embrace the gay. And I'll make fun of myself, and people seem to like the storyline portion of it. So hopefully you guys will laugh.
A remarkable success rate on the internet of embracing the memes, and one of our earliest episodes, that's how we met JX. It was a lot of memes were embraced, and a lot of bad blood was turned into good blood, like straight away, just through trying to chill out about it. But it's funny because you said, you thought of us as like the assholes immediately. You're far from the only one. I would say it's probably, unfortunately, the more common reaction to find that your video is being watched live and made fun of. It's like, well, fuck all of you guys. When that's like the intuitive response. When the better response every time is always to be like, yeah, fair enough. If they don't like it, I guess maybe I'll check it out. Like I say this as if we had definitively good coverage on anything, but I guess what I'm trying to say is you try and approach that before finding out more about it, just because it goes a long way for the fans of that thing. Like EFAP fans are always thoroughly impressed with anyone who comes on after they've been covered. Like it's like an automatic, you're a pretty cool person card, and it tends to be how it goes.
Absolutely. Because most people are just whiny bitches, and they'll go to Twitter, or they'll spurg out, or they'll mischaracterize everything we said, or they'll bunker down and stuff like that.
We just wanted to watch some YouTube videos and say what we thought. We didn't mean to, blow up the whole world.
That was the thing in my video. I was an asshole to anyone who liked Lord of the Rings. So I think I make a virgin joke, a sheep joke. I'm like, you like it for no reason.
Well, people who like Lord of the Rings are virgins, though. That one is right. Yes.
And then when people retaliated, then I had a little tantrum. But yeah, that's all fair.
Yeah, someone just referenced in chat. It's like when Hassan found out that we'd covered one of his videos, he was like, I have no idea what they are. And then it's like, they covered you. And he's like, oh yeah, well, their content is shit.
Well, he said we were Nazis.
What? Like, I have no opinion because I've never seen them, but also they're terrible.
If they covered me, they must be Hitler admirers, as they are.
The chat is now like, he said the line for me.
He did.
For God's sake.
I was there.
I'm gonna make merch and put that on a t-shirt. I don't even care.
That's the way to go.
I'll give you guys royalties.
Yeah, there's something to monetizing, memes about you or haters or things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty then. Let's get it started.
I gotta say, of literally every YouTuber I have ever seen in the decade plus that I've been using this website, I have never seen anyone worse than Cinema Virgin.
Oh my goodness. Oh my god, Wolf, I forgot.
It's Wolf.
Oh my goodness. He's being...
So, I have to say, so I didn't... The stream was very long. I didn't get a chance to watch it all, but I saw this video of Wolf. I actually watched the whole thing. I think it's like a 12-minute video or something. But I watched it when I was genuinely feeling shit. And I have to thank Wolf because he humbled the fuck out of me.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it was so savage, but the thing is, it was all true. So I was like, you know what? He's got a point. Let me just put this in the video. So fair enough. It was all accurate.
Wolf does have a way about him.
He's got a way with words.
Yes.
I would consider the worst. The worst. He didn't get a single fucking thing right in that entire hour and a half of worthless garbage-ass video. He literally stretched so far that he couldn't even manage to pluck a point that made any level of sense. The fact that you act like a little bitch when people insult you, when you insulted people in like every 5 minutes of your video, goes to show what a spineless loser you are. A complete tool.
He's being rough.
Don't tell people you have a manic.
Wolf's particularly passionate about Lord of the Rings.
Wolf has things to say. That's certainly true.
He's got opinions. The man is opinionated.
Depression as a get out of jail free card, aside from it being just pathetic on a level that not even a child would go to. It's just really sad that you would use that after insulting people consistently. You can stop your pissy little snipes on Twitter acting like a 5-year-old, pretending like you have any say with your audience of 4 people who actually give a shit about your god-awful content. You make it a little difficult to sympathize with you.
How badly can you miss the point, my dude? Yeah, no, he's just been a prick now. He's just been a prick now. It's not just that he doesn't like the movies.
CJ's getting in as well. I can't even remember this that well, like the episode 100.
That was a long time ago, to be fair.
In a galaxy far, far away, yeah.
EFAP 100 was...
What would be that, 3
years ago?
3 years and a few weeks, yeah.
3 years, yeah.
Fucking hell, time travels.
It's the reason he says he doesn't like the movies, therefore they're bad. Or they're bad because he doesn't like them, and then he gives really terrible reasons.
Hey, this is an emergency. I need to see you. Now. Look, I need your help. If you really are who you say you are, and if you can really do what you say you can do, you're my only hope.
The fuck do you want?
Wait, what is this?
Oh my goodness.
It was.
I guess we'll find out.
It was a character I created on my show. My friend didn't really want to be on camera, so I thought, well, just do voiceovers, and I'll make you this ancient mystical entity named Dave.
All right.
His name Dave is just funny, yeah.
Who
controls time.
Dave is a funny name, yeah.
Did you meet him under this bridge, or was this where he lives? I could buy both.
Yeah, this is where Dave lives, I guess.
All right, fair enough.
Oh, fair, I suppose, yeah.
I'm like in the world building already, you know?
You said that you control time.
Yes.
Then I need your help.
How?
Send me back.
Back where? To the hair salon?
Back in time.
Damn, Dave is a bit rude, isn't he? Jeez.
Dave, but you're wearing a hat. How does Dave know? He's omniscient.
Oh, he
Oh my
sees.
goodness.
Yeah, he sees everything.
Dave's
Oh my
power
goodness.
is not of this
Incredible
world.
power.
Whoa, Rob. That's...
Big. I know.
Dude, this is bigger than anything we've ever dealt with before.
Please. I just need to check something.
Rob, going through time is dangerous business. The slightest change could alter the entire world's future.
I wouldn't be asking if it wasn't an emergency, okay? Just send me back to March the 6th, 2017.
That's an oddly specific date, but... Okay, but listen very carefully. If I do this, you cannot, under any circumstances, interact with anything. Even the slightest movement would trigger an irreparable break in the space-time continuum that could throw everything out of whack.
Okay, I promise.
Rob, I mean it. Don't touch anything.
President Vladimir Putin authorized a special...
That was you that caused that? Oh,
I'm sorry, guys.
Has anything
I'm
weird...
sorry.
Has anything bad happened the last couple of years that just seems
Oh,
out
you'll
of
see.
place?
You'll see. I'm
Oh
sorry,
my goodness.
guys.
military operation in Ukraine's Donbass region.
Don't sneeze.
Donald Trump wins the presidency.
Oh my goodness!
I sneezed in it, damn.
Guys.
Buckingham Palace announced the death.
Oh no!
It was you. You
sat down.
So it's Italy's European Championship, and once more.
This is soccer.
Who knows anything about sports? What is this
I don't
sport
know.
thing?
I don't. You can do
I ran out of
whatever you want. You
ideas,
can change
alright?
whatever you want in soccer. I don't care.
Shootout for England.
Don't step on a bug.
The coronavirus is the
No!
biggest threat this country
Oh
has
no!
faced in decades.
And finally, most importantly, do not, I repeat, do not interact with your past self.
Completely understand. So all in all, it is such an overrated trilogy. They're clearly gay, none of it makes sense, they do shit for no reason.
It's a great summary. Clearly gay and do things for no reason.
I actually wore the same hoodie as that review, but I didn't have the RoboCop t-shirt anymore, so I had to literally Amazon one. And then
dedication. I like it.
Yeah.
I tried to find the location in these woods where I shot the Two Towers part, and I couldn't find it. So I was like, oh, I'll have to just find the tree that I climbed instead. But I think I matched it up pretty well.
Did you got to that same tree, or did you find a tree that looks similar enough?
I think it was the same one. I don't know. There's a lot of trees there. It's a big forest.
This is all wonderful trivia for the production. It's like Lord of the Rings. It's
like
behind
that.
the scenes.
Yeah.
Rob, you gay? What? I mean, is it just me, or the way you're just standing there clearly looks like you want to fuck me in the ass? What? No, I'm you, but from the future. What? I'm from the year 2023.
Things have gotten real bad.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
The Queen,
She's dead.
No, are you high? Whatever you do not post this review.
I appreciate the subtlety of the joke of do you have flying cars in the future when it's only like 4 years in the future.
Yeah.
Review, man. Seriously, dude, you're gonna post this review, and it's gonna go viral. Really? Not in the way you're thinking. You're gonna be
Not in the way you're thinking.
humiliated.
Not in a
It's
good
gonna
way.
destroy your entire YouTube channel. Virgins. People are going to make memes about you. Your entire YouTube channel is going to be completely destroyed. What, just because I don't like some films? Well, no, maybe it's because you got everything wrong. What? Look, you don't want to do this. And besides, Lord of the Rings is really good. Yeah, you're definitely gay. What? No, I just rewatched it. Look.
A lot of gay people have been known to like Lord of the Rings. It is true, statistically
That's
speaking.
true. I can't name any, but they're out there.
They're out there.
How about we just forget about the review for now, okay? Let's just go home and we can watch the films together. What? No, why would I do that? I'll give you next week's lottery numbers. Sure, fine.
You're gonna break the space-time continuum, though. You gotta be careful.
Well, you
The Lord
know,
of the
once
Rings-
the Queen's dead, just go for it.
She's already dead. We fucked everything up. It's fine.
It was a worldwide phenomenon and remains so, which is incredibly impressive considering they were published as books nearly 70 years ago. Author J.R.R. Tolkien started out with a fantasy tale, The Hobbit, in 1937, but went on to write a trilogy of sequels adapting to the lore during World War II, though they wouldn't be published until 10 years after the fact. In 1969, Tolkien sold the rights to these stories to United Artists for around £100,000, supposedly to pay off a tax bill that he owed, though it's unclear whether that's entirely true or not. But this sum would be the equivalent of nearly £3 million today, as well as gaining 7.5% royalty from any future adaptations, which would continue to go to his estate once he'd pass away. In 1976, United Artists sold the majority of these rights to Solzant's company, though they did retain the world distribution rights to any further movie adaptations. Rankin and Bass managed to license the rights, and an animated TV special adapting The Hobbit was produced in 1977, followed by an adaptation of the third book, Return of the King, in 1980. However, in 78, just a year after the first TV special was aired, an animated feature film adaptation of The Lord of the Rings was made. Although it earned decent money, fan and critical reception was mixed, and it didn't make nearly enough at the box office to warrant a sequel.
I've only ever seen clips and pieces of that. I've never actually seen the whole thing.
It's a trip.
Likewise.
It's, it does get referenced here and there. What's your take on it, Rags? You've seen it, right?
I think it is very much a product of a different time. They pretty much rotoscope the entire thing, which makes it a very interesting visual experience to watch.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the things, like clearly they had people acting out all the stuff and then they animated over it, which is, there are some interesting things that happen along the way, I'll say that. But it's just from a different time. It's very, very whimsical, and it has this charm to it. It doesn't have the sense of epicness that obviously the modern trilogy has. if I can still call it the modern trilogy. But it's just a whole different animal. But it's just very charming and kind of whimsical.
Someone in chat saying it inspired Mip from Smiling
yeah.
Friends.
Very clearly.
What, even the part when he turns into a pile of goo?
No, I think that's the subversive part. I highly recommend Smiling Friends. Rags, have we made you watch Smiling Friends? I can't remember.
I think I've seen it all.
Good.
I can't remember when.
So when I say "get out of my head, man," you imagine that with like crystal clarity. You know exactly
Get out of my
what
head,
that
man.
is. Yeah. Get out of my head, man. Okay, that's good. Did you watch the Brazil episode? They're in the airport.
Do you remember the Halloween one?
I remember the airport.
Oh, well, if you remember the airport...
Well, yeah, that's good
We
enough.
should just see it again. Yeah, we should just see it again.
Oh, it is an easy rewatch.
Yeah.
Don't cross the rickety
Because I've seen so many
bridge.
pieces and parts that it's a little, I guess, confusing in my head as to whether I've seen the whole thing or I've just seen bits and parts. So
you can watch it in an hour, so the whole season more
Yeah,
or less.
dude, it came out,
Nice.
and like, I want to say 50 minutes after it came out, me and Frank had already seen it. It's just like, no.
Yeah, went through every single episode.
Like,
and
more,
now
please.
I'm eagerly waiting for season 2, please. Inject it into my vein.
Have you seen it, Rob?
I have not. I haven't seen the Hobbit trilogy either. I've heard mixed thoughts about the Hobbit trilogy.
Oh yeah, they're controversial for enjoyment, but Smiling Friends is a completely different thing. It's just a animated comedy made by YouTubers that is absolutely hilarious, and I hope gets all the success they could possibly get. But yeah, season 2 is on the way, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Young Peter Jackson saw this film and liked the beginning, but found the rest far too confusing and only went out to read the books to find out what the hell was going on. It wasn't until technology in Hollywood became so advanced with the likes of Jurassic Park.
That T-Rex looks so fucking good.
Yeah, it's aged incredibly well.
Books to find out what
later.
the hell was going on. It wasn't
Look at it.
until technology in Hollywood became so advanced with the likes of Jurassic Park and Star Wars that filmmaker Peter Jackson was actually given the means to adapt the books to live action in his homeland of New Zealand. Naturally, he wanted to produce one movie based on The Hobbit, but only 2 on Lord of the Rings, making a trilogy which would be shot simultaneously. However, the rights for The Hobbit was split between 2 studios and Jackson wasn't able to adapt it, meaning that he would have to do The Lord of the Rings first, which led to the trilogy that revived the fantasy genre as we know it. 3 movies shot back to back that shattered records, brought nerds together, and completely took the world by storm. The story of Sauron, who uses the fire of Mordor to forge an evil ring that rules all the other rings, destroying all peace on the fantasy world of Middle-earth, and in turn bringing on the apocalypse. It ends up in the hands of a man named Smeagol, played by Andy Serkis, who gets corrupted by the ring's evil powers for many centuries, turning him into an insane CGI creature named Gollum. However,
It turned him into a CGI creature.
An insane
Oh god.
An insane CGI creature.
Yeah, he's nuts.
And they're like, God damn, look at that insane CGI creature over there.
Who'd you rather be, Jar Jar Binks or Gollum?
Jar Jar.
I'd probably rather be Jar Jar.
I'd rather be Jar Jar, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I wouldn't want to ever be Gollum. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But you would kind of want to be Jar Jar.
I would
Jar
kind
Jar
of,
was,
yeah. Jar Jar is. He got to be a
with
senator.
He did. He
Yeah,
put
and
one of the
he-
most powerful people in power in the history of
he's
Star
one of
Wars.
the most important people who ever lived in the Star Wars universe.
That's
Yeah.
true. And
They should write
like,
books
he's
about
not
him.
a terrible gremlin monster with a magical addiction
And
to
also,
a
he
ring.
lives in the Star Wars world, which means he can play video games and stuff. Like, there's technology, so...
Also,
that's
as far as I know,
Oh,
he's
good time.
currently homeless on the street, right? That's the story they wrote him after in the sequel era. That's what he's doing. He's like begging for change on the streets
I'd
of
still rather
Naboo.
be homeless. I'd still rather be homeless on the streets of Naboo than be Gollum.
and
though.
homeless on the streets of Gondor.
Mordor.
Because every day is Gollum, you're
Mordor, yeah.
homeless on the streets. So, I mean,
Yeah, more or less.
But when you're Gollum, that is your wonderful warm home. That's home to him.
I guess so, yeah.
Everything
I
is
guess-
right.
I guess you're homeless on the streets enough to where you just say the streets are, home.
God, that's such a... every time we talk about it, I want that movie where someone seeks out Jar Jar, who has nothing but respect for him, was inspired by him in, like, the prequel era and grew up to, like, find him and has to encourage him to get back into politics,
Maybe
you know?
he's, well, because, what's that character in Game of Thrones, the guy who pretends to be, like, this sort of bumbling old man, but he's actually really
Oh,
clever?
Pycelle.
What's that guy's name? Yeah, someone, like, thinks Jar Jar
Wasn't he in
is-
Rebel
is
Moon?
Pycelle.
No, that's someone else.
Okay, because you already know who I'm kind of talking
yeah.
about.
Remember, MODOK was in Rebel Moon.
He was, and
then Francis killed him.
He had a really big fake beard. It was annoying because everybody who had big beards in that film were very fake. Yeah,
it looked totally fake. He had like this. He had a very young sort of face, but he had this fluffy, clearly fake beard all around him, and maybe his hair was fake too. I don't know.
The bad guy at the end of the film was like a guy who looked like he was no older than 30, but they put him in makeup to make him look older with a big beard, and that looks really silly too.
Rebel Moon is not good. Like, just so everyone is aware, because I feel like it's a mystery right now. People are like, you're going to cover it, yes, but not right now. Not for Christmas. We don't want to taint Christmas with Rebel Moon.
Save it for New Year.
Yeah, New Year can get pooped.
Yeah, let's start New Year off with a bang. Yeah.
But Gollum then loses the ring when a small hobbit named Bilbo Baggins, played by Ian Holm, finds it. The ring starts to also corrupt Bilbo, but his wizard friend Gandalf, played by Ian McKellen, talks him into letting it go, before discovering the ring's origin and its true powers. It is then up to Bilbo's nephew Frodo, played by Elijah Wood, and his best friend Sam, played by Sean Astin, to travel to Mordor and destroy the ring the only way possible, where it was created in the fires of Mount Doom.
Oh my
when
God.
adapting from the novels, Peter Jackson...
That's incredible special effects.
What was that?
That was me trying to be artsy with a transition.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think it worked.
Venom, so I understand the connection.
Yeah.
So naturally had to make some changes. He wanted Middle-earth to all look as accurate to the book's descriptions as possible, almost treating it like a real historical place. But he also needed to cut things out. The first book is 423 pages long, the second 352, and the third 416. But all three movies are 3 hours long or over, and also were given an extended cut nearing 4 hours apiece. Jackson didn't only cut things out of the book, but he added things in to help with pacing, character development, and to just add to the overall viewing experience. But this didn't sit well with everyone, mainly J.R.R. Tolkien's own son Christopher, who was 77 years old by the time the first movie was released. He felt like the films just didn't do the books justice, describing them by saying they gutted the books, making action films for 15 to 25-year-olds.
Yeah, what a loser.
Unfortunately, and this is Gary thinks this is probably the case as well, J.R.R. Tolkien probably wouldn't have liked the films. Which is, it's just one of them realities, I think, especially with the change of medium. And I guess I wouldn't even have thought to describe the movies as very action-y, but I guess...
There's a lot of not action in it,
action at parts, but, I mean, very specific
action
parts of the film.
That's a good way to describe it, though. There's action in parts.
Yeah, the majority of the film is not action. The majority of the film is adventure, conversation.
And chatting. Oh, but I mean, okay, everyone's entitled to an opinion. That's all right.
Well, I wonder what he, J.R.R. Tolkien would have, what he thought of the animated one.
Wait, would he have? He died in the 70s. When did Tolkien?
Oh yeah, I guess I thought.
Well, I mean, I want to know what he would have thought of the. I don't know what he would have thought of Lord of the Rings Gollum.
He died in 73, so...
The interesting thing would be, what would he think of Rings of Power? Would that maybe make him go,
okay.
Lord of the Rings...
That's the question then. If you could get his complete opinion on any one of these things, we would push, I assume, for Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, right? Or would you want to avoid it just because it would be painful?
There's nothing that he could say that would ruin the quality or how much I enjoy those movies.
If he didn't like it, that would be like, oh well. But, I still love those films, and I care more to hear what he would think about those films than because, again, Rings of Power is this clown show that I really don't associate.
I was actually going to say,
I really don't associate it with Lord of the Rings.
If we only had one thing to show him, it would almost be mean to be like, yeah, look at Rings of Power. It's like, nah, we should probably not waste it. Just by showing him someone peeing on his work.
Yeah, like I said, I most of the time heavily disassociate Rings of Power from Lord of the Rings.
It's very easy to completely, have the two be.
Well, it's there's a simultaneous thing that happens, as evidenced by that recent 8-hour EFAP movies. It's that nobody here thinks Rings of Power happened, and then Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings happens, in terms of events of that world. However, whenever Galadriel comes on screen, it is kind of like. There's the real Galadriel, not the fake one. And then, Mordor, and how it's constructed.
Well, it's kind of like how when you watch the OT, you might get flashes, like you know, like the flashes that Frodo gets of like of Sauron looking at him. You know, his flashes is kind of like when you're watching the OT, and you get flashes of the Last Jedi and stuff. You know, just flashing in like, oh shit, damn it, damn you.
One could describe it as damage or curse, but ultimately we would never want to admit that anything has happened to the precious Lord of the Rings films, and that really they haven't. I think, you know, as time goes on, the more and more Rings of Power becomes a memory and then fades into legend and then into myth until it's completely forgotten by everybody, right? That's the meme.
What I am really curious about is whether or not it actually gets to complete its run. I was thinking about this the other day with I would be surprised if Halo gets a third season. I think I would be surprised if that happens.
Yeah.
Because you can't be Halo now, especially when there are actually like good video game adaptations coming out. You can't. That's not good enough. And kind of in the same vein, like Rings of Power is like so bad, and nobody like that film didn't garner much appreciation from anybody at all. Like, there really aren't people who are passionately, oh yeah, I love Rings of Power. And if you don't have people who are like passionately in favor of it, but people are like, no, it's better than those losers are saying, but then they never rewatch it and never talk about it ever again. That's not good enough. That's not gonna be enough to carry you for multiple seasons. So I do wonder if they're going to get the 5 seasons that they want.
If it takes them 2 years per season, they are going for the full 5. Gary was saying, like, it's going to be fucking 65 when season 5 comes out. It's going to be insane. Like,
if
they actually did.
Making them every 3 years.
Yeah.
And that makes it harder too, because, wow, I mean, that's a long time to wait. Well, I say a long time to wait as if everybody's eagerly anticipating it. A long time to wait for a second season.
It would be fucking insane for them to pull out all 5. Like, they just commit. That would be so...
Especially when the first season cost, what, $500 million?
Of Rings of Power? A shit ton.
Something absurd, yeah.
It is. I think it's the most expensive season of TV.
It's most expensive. Yes, it is. More expensive than good old House of the Dragon, more expensive than The Last of Us, more expensive than Halo. More expensive than a lot of
Remember
things.
Halo? No, you don't.
Yeah, season
it's
2
coming back, boys.
It's coming back.
What I'm getting out of this is that I shouldn't watch Rings of Power.
Or Halo.
No.
Or Halo.
No, don't.
Just play the game.
Avoid.
Okay.
He would even later sue the studio, New Line Cinema, for the Tolkien estate receiving no money from the movies whatsoever, though it was later settled out of court and he pursued no further action towards the Hobbit films.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he protected Lord of the Rings from the eventual Amazon adaptation for Rings of Power and stuff, so even if he didn't like Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, he was a good little shield for Lord of the Rings not getting adapted further into the horrors of mediocrity.
I suppose, in a way, even though he's wrong about Lord of the Rings, that did essentially create, that buffer between that terrible.
It is kind of nice that they're sealed within, like, there's a, like you just said, a buffer of many years between, Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings and anything else. I say that as though the OT doesn't have that with the sequels. Like, it's a huge amount of time, but I don't know. It just feels like they are safe in their little era of the early 2000s.
Honestly, although I've only read Fellowship and wasn't too keen on it, I think the movies do a great job bringing this world to the big screen. You can tell the sheer amount of effort and research Jackson put into this. The film opens on the Shire, home of the Hobbits, and he has brought this world to life flawlessly. It looks great and captures the fantasy feel so perfectly. You almost wish you could just walk around the Shire and meet all the Hobbits.
Well, I guess you can't meet the Hobbits, but you can walk around the Shire.
You can, Hobbiton. Yeah.
Which, if I go to New Zealand, which will hopefully happen at some point, I definitely want to go to the Shire.
Is Gandalf inspired by something else, or is he the quintessential core, like, base plate wizard that... Because, like, is Merlin... Merlin feels like a different kind.
There's been a number of different iterations of Merlin over time, so...
It's just that, the look of Gandalf, he just captures completely my understanding of wizard, even though it's, like, not necessarily, you could have all kinds of wizards, but, man, even, the beard, the hat, the staff, the cloak sort of thing, it's just, it's beautiful. And that's part of the thing that Lord of the Rings gets credited, is just, like, redefining and inspiring basically everything fantasy from then on. What an achievement.
From then on. But obviously there were a lot of like Smaug was the dragon in Beowulf, right? So like there was a lot of stuff that was pulling from it
well, so
earlier.
that's the thing. It's impossible for Tolkien not to have drawn from all the things that influenced him in his life, right? Like it's just that's going to be even less familiar to me.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson also uses perspective really well, having actors simply sitting behind each other to give off the illusion that one is bigger than the other. I'm a sucker for practical effects over CGI, and this just looks fantastic.
Before you came along, we Bagginses were very well thought of. Indeed. Never had any adventures or did anything unexpected.
Except that one time I got into numerous fights in the streets of London because West Ham might lose a football game.
Look, most people didn't even see Mean Streets, which... Wait, Green Street? Is that what this is?
Green Street, yeah.
That's
Green
the one.
Street, yeah.
I saw it once.
This is the faculty.
These football hooligans fucking around and beating each other up. It's great.
When you think football hooligan, you think Frodo Baggins.
Oh, of course. Well, it's funny, right?
Hooligan.
Frodo, well, Elijah Wood did, what was it? Sin City, I think, soon after this, Lord of the Rings, where he plays like a cannibal, serial-killing monster creature. It's like, it's a bit different. It's a little bit different from Frodo, yeah.
That was a weird time. You even like football now? Yeah, I do actually. We nearly won the Euro. Don't care. I also have to credit...
Wait, you developed a love for football in the past 5 years or something?
Is that independent of your Lord of the Rings adventure, or...?
It's a vital part of my character growth. I don't even watch football that much anymore, so I think I've gone back.
Oh no.
There was a problem.
You dipped your toe in the land of non-nerd, and, well...
Yeah, pretty much.
These movies for their casting. They have some of the most perfectly casted characters I have ever seen. Somebody ordered a death scene. Ian Holm just comes across as such a friendly figure who you could almost imagine being your own fun uncle, who I actually find myself relating to quite a bit.
We don't want any more visitors, well-wishers, or distant relations. I've got to get away from these confounded relatives hanging on the bell all day, never giving me a moment's peace.
Am I Bilbo Baggins? Oh, so we're still socially inept in the future. Yeah, that never changes. Cool.
Old Toby, the finest weed in the South Valley.
Damn, Bilbo Baggins is a pothead. Gives these movies a whole new edge.
There's a scene in the extended cut where they reference him being an alcoholic as well, so I'm even more relating to Bilbo.
Well, I mean, Gandalf is too, right? He's just smoking so much weed has slowed his mind.
Yeah, Saruman tells him that.
It happens, yeah.
You couldn't
But
have
you know how
paused it on a more flattering shot, by the way.
Friendly and kind-natured Bilbo comes across in the beginning, it makes his sudden change that more shocking and effective.
Oh my god. Is this the extended version?
This was the extended, yeah. This is the
Theatrical.
extended version, yeah.
Well, at least Gandalf's enjoying it.
But when the ring starts to take over and Bilbo becomes more and more psychotic over it... Sorry, just the effects of working with Ridley Scott. It's such a change from his previous demeanor.
Wow, taking shots at Ridley, the Scottster. What's
wow, the
what's
big
up there?
Ridley.
Did you have a big blowout with Ridley Scott personally or something? Is that what's
Yeah,
happening?
you used to be on really good terms with him. What happened?
Yeah.
He slept with my wife.
Damn it.
Dang.
Is this before or after Napoleon?
Wow.
And he said, I don't know if Napoleon actually fired cannons at the pyramids. And then Bilbo
It's
just
called
goes,
cinematic language. You wouldn't understand. It means
cinematic language is lying about history.
Yeah.
It really sells just how dangerous this ring actually is, but it doesn't really sit well with his buddy Gandalf.
Do not take me for some conjurer of cheap tricks.
But that's a cheap trick right there, making things go dark. So you know what? Gandalf's a hypocrite.
I am not.
I don't know.
Cost
Actually,
a lot of mana. It might be an expensive one.
does he get mana from smoking weed, or does that take mana?
I think he's just I think he's just a pothead.
Or is it
I'm not
irrelevant
sure.
of mana? I guess, yeah.
Maybe.
Dumbledore! Gandalf is another character who goes through a similar change. At the beginning, he's this welcoming, warm, kind-hearted and friendly character. You can sense that him and Frodo are close, but then once he researches the origins of the ring, he becomes a disheveled and neurotic mess. Again, selling the severity of the ring and its capabilities. People do mention the close-ups of this film, but this is really the only shot I think it just doesn't work in. I mean, I get it, you're supposed to feel uncomfortable because the danger is nearing, but it just seems out of place for the rest of the scene. So
what I really liked about that close-up was that we remember him like that, where he's pretty held together, pretty normal, and even warmly says, you know, keep it secret, keep it safe, and everything seems chill. Then the next we see him, the camera tightens up on him just exactly the same, but he's panicked, his hair's all over the place, he's like sweating, and he's like, is it secret? Is it safe? Like, to show you, obviously what he's learned has turned him from that into that. Which, yeah, I thought worked.
Yeah, that's fair, to be fair.
Just wanted to come in and try and get a bit of a close-up. I mean, you had one and Frodo had one, and I've been in nothing but group shots so far. So...
No. I can't help but notice. It's just how
the blast making it.
Yeah.
Long Frodo takes to check out his uncle's house. So Bilbo vanishes from the party, he then goes home, Gandalf is already there somehow, they have a whole conversation about the ring, he hands it over, they say their goodbyes, then Gandalf sits around for a while contemplating why Richard Harris hated him so much, and then Frodo decides to check out the house.
Oh, did Richard Harris hate him?
Did he?
Yeah, there was a part where I think he was considered for the part of Dumbledore, he turned it down because he was doing Gandalf, Richard Harris got cast, and then Ian McKellen said something about it. I don't know. I think he. This was written a while ago. I'm now fact checking.
That's all right. I was just curious because I didn't know about it.
I mean, was he just walking around the woods aimlessly thinking, where could my Uncle Bilbo be?
I mean, I guess, I don't know, if someone just disappears, I guess it's like you should track their house. It's like, I think they're also just blown away by the fact that he disappeared in front of them, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like he went missing, it's more so they watched him boof out of thin air. So I don't know that it's...
He's definitely boofing out of thin air.
I don't know if it's...
Bilbo.
Intuitive that he went to his house, but sure.
Yeah.
Well, he's not here. Well, he's not here. Maybe I should check out his house.
He was probably busy bumming Sam.
True.
Dang.
What is your problem with gay people? I mean, you realise in a few years that you like cock too. Weirdly,
oh my god. Development as well.
Development.
Yeah. The evolution.
Yeah, I came out as bisexual like a couple years after the review, and I was like, oh shit, maybe I was compensating.
It was because of
Lord of the Rings awoke
Sam and
you.
Frodo. Yeah.
Lord of the Rings with my sexual awakening.
In the book, Gandalf
Thanks,
gives Frodo
Tolkien.
the ring to hide and then goes off to research where it came from, and he's gone for 17 years. In the movie, it's cut down and no passage of time is actually given, but it is paced really well, and you can sense the impending danger as Gandalf begins to panic.
Cannot stay in the Shire.
No, it can't.
I never been to Earth, Dad. I never even slept over some other dude's house.
Oh god, is that little Nicky?
That is little Nicky.
Damn. I'm actually genuinely curious. First of all, Fringy and Rags, do you know what little Nicky is?
I know of it, but I don't. I've never seen it.
God, that feels like a movie that nobody would have seen. But maybe. I don't know. There's going to be like 5 people in chat like, yeah, of course I've seen little Nicky.
The Adam Sandler film. I liked it, but a lot of people don't. It's fair enough. I can get why people don't like it.
Oh, I can barely remember it, if I'm being completely honest, but he's in hell and he has to go to Earth to do something?
Yeah, his dad is Harvey Keitel, who's Satan. His mum is Reese Witherspoon, who's an angel. And then his brothers...
And he was hit in the face with a shovel so he can't talk properly or something?
Yeah, and then he has to go to Earth to bring his brothers back, and then he marries Patricia Arquette.
Yeah, as you do.
Well, people in the chat seem to know Little Nicky, so there we go. People got the reference.
Yeah.
Frodo's cousins Merry and Pippin are hilarious, and I actually quote them far too often.
What about second breakfast?
And Gandalf acts like their disappointed father, always being made to clean up their mess, forcing them to do chores. In the book, Pippin throws a pebble down a well, which gives away their whereabouts, but in the movie he accidentally knocks down an entire damn skeleton. But I think it's so much funnier this way. I will never get tired of Pippin being a screw-up, and at least here it was actually accidental.
I'm very glad that in the extended cut of Fellowship, there's more scenes of Gandalf bullying Pippin. That was my favourite addition. But yes, more of this.
Yes, the Gandalf Pippin shit is just fun. The little journey they go on together.
And then that culminating in one of the best scenes in the entire trilogy between those two in Minas Tirith.
Yeah, and there's smaller bits as well, right? Like when Pippin gets terrified of the Minas Morgul fucking laser that Gandalf comforts him. Like, as much as he finds him to be an annoying idiot, he's like, nah, you're cool. Like, you're still
Well, it's he really
well-meaning.
likes hobbits. He really likes them. They're good lads.
A fool, but an honest fool he remains.
And say nothing of Aragorn either. In fact, it's better if you don't speak at all about him too.
You can't even help but take a look at the evil crystal ball, which leads Sauron to believe he has the ring. He can't do anything right. All he had to do was not touch the damn ball. Not that one. But despite starting out as the comic relief, Merry and Pippin go through a huge transformation. They risk their lives to distract some orcs so Frodo can get away with the ring. Pippin literally sacrifices himself to save his friend.
Like, this is what, you know, like the notion of comic relief characters and how you can go wrong, where the comic relief character is almost like in the universe in which they reside. It's like the universe itself recognizes, you are not the main character, you are the comic relief character. You have no character, really, beyond saying things that are funny. Meanwhile, you look at Lord of the Rings as like a good example of how to have characters who are funny, but are still active participants in the story, and go on arcs.
Yeah, and
you have characters who do funny things because of their personalities or their traits, but their personality isn't just summed up as you are the meta comedy relief character.
And that the world affects them no differently. Like, they're not protected because they're the comedy ones, so that they can't get in any serious trouble.
It's not like they are devoid of the capacity to be involved in dramatic moments because they are the funny people.
If you remember as well, I think when Frodo gets like speared or whatever in Moria, they're the first two to, like, it all quietens down, right? And it gets really serious, and then they jump on the back of the troll. The fucking the two comedy ones.
Well, because they're pretty. They charge into battle. I mean, they're the first ones to charge at the battle at the Black Gate as well. After,
well, ain't it perfect that their separate journeys lead them to becoming like full-on members of Rohan and Gondor separately?
Yeah, and it's cool how those stories. Yeah, exactly. When they've been together for their whole lives, more or less, and then they get split apart and both go on these crazy adventures that lead them to being the first people after Aragorn to charge at the Black Gate, so much so that everybody behind them was like, well, shit, now we gotta go. If
We
the
should
hobbits
probably
are running into battle, then we gotta go too.
Faramir from being burned alive. Despite his concerns, Gandalf challenges Pippin and gives him these tasks, and he does have heroic moments to prove himself. They show that anybody can become a hero in this franchise, even the most unlikely of hobbits. After Pippin is suspected of having the ring, he has to be relocated for his own safety, and it's a decent little side quest, and it is really emotional to see him and Merry being separated after all this time. And when they do reunite, it is equally as emotional. It's awesome to see Gandalf kick ass, and Pippin is even in there to get his own kill as well. It's a great transition from useless comic relief to underdog hero. Saruman, played by Christopher Lee, starts out as Gandalf's friend, but this doesn't last particularly long, which is quite interesting. Saruman is hardly in the first book, and even then he was only mentioned during Gandalf's backstory. But he's fleshed out here, and it's a unique touch as he suddenly switches and becomes evil, believing that the fight against Sauron is meaningless as they can't possibly win, so he decides to just join the dark side instead. It's unusual for a character change to happen as soon as they're introduced, especially when it's only 45 minutes into the movie, but I'm all for it. There's a lot of story to cover, and it doesn't dent the pacing one bit.
Yeah, villain who turned evil for no reason. Did you have the film on mute?
I like this format, this time travel format. You've been able to weave time travel as a mechanic into the video really well.
The old character with the new one is fun. And because I'm trying to remember now, like that was an issue you took with it in the first video, but now I'm starting to realize like you were reviewing the theatrical versions. Did we know that when we covered your video? I can't remember.
I can't remember because that was 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. Because I was just thinking, of course, like I can't even remember what Saruman scenes are in the theatrical fully, because I assume that a lot of them I don't even know anymore. It's just too difficult to remember.
Him and Gandalf then come to blows, and it's actually pretty cool, though it reminds me of the ending of Sword in the Stone. Though the spinning scene has always looked silly to me, and I just struggle to take this seriously. Honestly, these characters are all so strong.
It's fair. Everyone laughs at the spinning.
It is a little goofy, but you know, it's like when Frodo's got Smeagol on him and he's invisible. So.
And well written. Frodo is focused on the journey and doesn't want to let anyone down. He's the only one actually taking this journey seriously. Hell, the idiots actually light a damn campfire. You're supposed to be discreet. May as well write "We are here" in fireworks above the mountain.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
Sam is just hell-bent on protecting Frodo and making sure he succeeds, stopping him whenever he's about to put the ring on. Merry and Pippin tag along on the journey, but they don't know about the ring yet, so they're chowing
the parody
on
of that scene in you remember in the South Park episode when they needed to go back to the like Blockbuster, and then they were being chased by the 6th graders, and so like Cartman and Kenny, like Stan and Kyle were hiding beneath the tree, and the 6th grader was like the Nazgul leaning over looking for them.
What I was saying when we were checking out the parody and the French and Soldiers one, I was like, do you remember when we used to have parodies of good things? Like,
yeah,
and the parodies themselves were good too.
And the parodies were good.
Themselves were good and inventive and creative.
Well, you know, I've said before that like parodying some stuff is getting difficult. Like parodying, you know, I saw people saying like, you know, with the whole Twitch black bars thing that's been happening. I saw someone say like, South Park really need to make fun of this, and it's like, well, they kind of did without even realizing it. With the whole Randy and OnlyFans thing, that kind of covers it. It's like, yeah, it's just that it's going so fast and everything's so retarded that it's like
so fast and it's getting crazy.
It's difficult to parody real life because it's already hard to believe.
When compared to before, yeah, parodies of things that the creators really liked, you know, because I was pointing out Blue Harvest, that's another example of I mean, they're making fun of Star Wars, but they love Star Wars clearly. But like, who's gonna do a Blue Harvest parody for like The Force Awakens, you know, that's never going to exist.
There's an element of you should understand what it is that you are parodying when you parody it. Because if you don't understand what it is that you're trying to parody, then you miss a lot of the marks on what you should say about it, or you know, a lot of the details and info and you know things that I guess what fan might take umbrage with, or just like fun memes and stuff, like you know Gandalf spinning around or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mushrooms instead actually makes sense. But as the films progress, you really do sense their hearts of gold and true loyalty. They find out about the ring and agree to help without question. The tension is great in this, and since we're quite early into this adventure, so we know that Frodo is unlike...
It really is like a trait that's almost overlooked, the fact that they never like shy away from any of the responsibilities that they provided Merry and Pippin. They both go for it.
Likely to die due to his connection with Bilbo in the ring, but the other three haven't been shown that much. It's really good suspense, as any of the others could possibly be killed off.
That fellow's done nothing but stare at you since we arrived.
Calm down, Sam. You can't even see the dude's eyes, you paranoid schizo. The first time Frodo wears the ring is such an iconic moment. It introduces the character of Aragorn, played by Viggo Mortensen, and is such a powerful moment anyway. We see the powers of the ring, we see how dangerous it can be if it's worn, and the reaction of those around him. Although they don't react when he reappears, which is a bit weird. The Nazgul look terrifying and have a really intimidating presence, but they seem to have no patience and are just incredibly lazy. So we get the fake out where they're about to kill the Hobbit.
Wait, incredibly lazy?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a sec.
Oh, okay.
But they've switched beds. Aragorn then tells their story to the others whilst watching them from a window, and because they spent 20 seconds looking for them, they just give up and go on home. Well, we tried. Who's on for a Netflix marathon?
I've made jokes about that in our coverage about, like, as much as they were in the wrong room, it's like, is that not really bad news that they could come to ours eventually? And Aragorn doesn't seem to be bothered by it. He's like, well...
I guess that's why he's on the lookout and watching.
Still, you would want to leave, right?
Maybe be in a different building, you know? Not the room over, like, oh shit, I hope they come.
Yeah, like if the Nazgul are just like, alright, Bob, you go that way, I'll go this way, you go that way, we'll just search the place in general.
Of course, one of them is called Bob. Of course.
Eventually, knock on the door, they're like, hello? And Aragorn's like, no, we're not in here. This is a different place.
Yeah, I can hear the ring wraiths knock on the door. Housekeeping.
They're in here.
The musical score is fantastic. Howard Shore did a terrific job, and he builds the suspense and drama really well. The cinematography is astounding. You can easily see the influence this film had on cinema for the years that followed. This entire design of Isengard is spectacular.
Never stop being impressed by the miniatures and the bigatures and the way it's all shot. And then, of course, the music, like you just said, binding it all together as well.
And clearly influenced Buffy the Vampire Slayer's Hellmouth just a few years later.
Oh, look at me, I've got crane shots. Oh, look at the pretty images. Oh, Peter, should we maybe write a script? No, pretty images. What's the fucking movie?
The character of Arwen is so badass. She gets introduced quite quickly, but her and Aragorn have been a couple for a while, so there's no need to waste any time initiating the relationship. Frodo is also dying at this point, so time is a major factor. But man, she takes out the entire Nazgul like Quentin Tarantino takes out anyone who dislikes his movies. It is a very sad scene as she believes that Frodo is dead and his destiny is over.
That's a reference that I don't get.
There's a couple of very famous interview clips where people are critical of Quentin Tarantino, and he has funny responses.
None of it. Okay.
Yeah.
I forget what's the one that he was like.
I remember there was one where he said, "I reject your question," which I really liked as a response. The idea of like, no, I refuse your question. Like everything about the premise.
That's what I was trying to remember the question of. It could have been something like why, like, what do you think about the influence of your films on culture or something like that? Like it was
a lot of them are related to like violence, you know, like
yeah, I was about to say this is actually starting to kind of ring a bell.
Well, because there's the very famous one is the woman who's like, why do you have so much violence in your movies? And he's like, because it's so much fun, which is true. It is fun.
It means everything. The friendship between Sam and Frodo is built really well in the first film, and you can sense their closeness. In The Two Towers, Sam's loyalty to Frodo is evident from the very beginning. After travelling for so long, he's just past caring about anything else and turns into a savage. It is quite funny.
Let's just tie him up and leave him.
The second movie consists of Sam, Frodo and Gollum travelling together as friction continues to rise. Sam isn't sure they can trust him, which challenges his friendship with Frodo, but shows his loyalty towards him as he's constantly trying to protect him.
Sam and Frodo are clearly gay lovers. Look at how they look at each other. You're clearly hiding something. You see sex in almost every scene.
Gollum himself is also such
How can you not think of sex when you see Gollum? I mean...
I had to cut that joke down. I'll address the elephant in the room. In the original review, obviously, I have a gay scene at the end.
Right.
And yes, and I believe you guys made fun of the other actor in that scene and said he looked a bit creepy. He got arrested earlier this year. Yeah.
Oh my!
You guys called it. I should have listened.
Damn.
He got arrested for grooming and doing strange things with a minor. But anyway, I made this review, basically I had that line, and I actually say, have you ever had a male best friend or something? And then my past self had like a thought bubble appear, and it was going to be the gay sex scene. And then my past self was going to be like, yeah, but he was gay or something. And at this point, I was like editing him out of any content I had him in.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like, let's just remove that. But yeah,
I gotcha.
An interesting character, and the effects look great, but I think what makes these three in the movie work so well is that overall they're hardly in it. So when they do appear, you appreciate their scenes a whole lot more. It makes sense why Frodo was somewhat sympathetic towards Smeagol, because he knew what the ring was doing to his own uncle, and he feels like he now has a second chance to save someone else from its power. Sam even gives this great speech about how nothing will ever be the same again after all of this.
Sam's full of great speeches, full of great lines. He's not to pick as a favorite. Who is your favorite character, if you have one, Rob?
Ironically, it's now Frodo.
Fair enough.
All right.
When I insulted him in the first review, I'm like, does he even have a character now? That's probably Frodo, but Sam's a close second. I like Sam as well.
Who would be your third?
Oh, I like Gandalf. I'll throw Gandalf in there.
Gandalf's pretty cool.
Yeah, Gandalf's pretty awesome.
Someone just said Shadowgorn. Another good choice.
He's a type.
Thing is, not really bad choices. There's a lot of people who hate Frodo. That's okay. They can be wrong.
Many hobbits from such a small area, and they had no idea what they were getting involved in. And they go on to have a journey to save the world. It's incredible. Sam even gives Frodo his last bit of food. He is such a loyal friend, and they even acknowledge that there probably won't be a return trip. They're just there to save the world and possibly die doing it. Sam tries to convince Frodo that Gollum is evil, but he just doesn't listen. And this conflict wasn't actually in the book. It was added to cause a breakdown of their friendship, and it works really well. You feel so sorry for Sam and root for him to keep fighting.
Now, as great as these films are, there are some really bad lines. And I get it to a degree. It's how people spoke back in the day.
Here we go.
Oh, no, here we go. Deja vu. Be nice, guys. Be nice. But sometimes they just don't sound genuine or natural at all, and no one else speaks like it. It's just randomly in the middle of a scene, and it doesn't quite work.
You don't see it, do you?
He's a villain. Very nasty place.
Wait, what's wrong with the "he's a villain" line?
What's wrong? He's a villain.
Because it's very literal. Like
well, he's literally a villain.
I mean, it's just stating the obvious, isn't it?
I don't think.
Well, he's trying to convince. No, he's trying to convince Frodo that it's the case. Because Frodo doesn't see it, and Sam does, because Sam's a boss.
Fair enough.
As far as I'm aware, though, like it's beyond like just referring. It's not like Sam is being meta. Like he.
Yeah, I think that might have been
the word villain to emphasize that he is like an antagonistic force here right now. Like he's gonna betray you,
and he's
gonna. We're trying to save the world, and he is like vile. He's evil. He's corrupted.
The equivalent, if like if Rags was hanging out with a ne'er-do-well, I would be like, he's an asshole. But if you rewind me by enough time, I might say
Why
he's a
would you
villain.
tell him that?
No, I'd tell you that.
Oh, about them. Oh,
I'd be like, Rags, look out, he's an asshole.
And
then you'd be like, how do you know? And I'd be like, he's fucking, look at him. Isn't it obvious?
Look at him with his fucking shades and his goofy Christmas sweater.
So the reason I thought that you would have taken issue with it is because it sounds so like overt and like almost referencing Gollum's position in the story
itself. Yeah.
When I think it's just that's where the word evolved from, was being used as a description of a bad person.
Well, one thing that's interesting too is that Sam multiple times throughout the trilogy references the stories. Not only of that Bilbo was writing, but of just referencing what they're doing as a story that will be told, and stories of heroism to keep them going. So even in that sense, there's actually a bit of a through line there that he would use that.
At all, and no one else speaks like it. It's just randomly in the middle of a scene, and it doesn't quite work.
You don't see it, do you?
He's a villain. Very nasty place. Full of enemies.
There's so much.
Wait, what's wrong with that one?
What's wrong with that one?
Again, it's the literal line. It's a bad place, full of bad
very nasty
people.
place.
Oh, because what I like about it a lot is that you got one angle which is full of, and he looks at Sam, being that Sam is his primary enemy because he's getting in the way of his goals. But then simultaneously, there's a sort of pause for Gollum before he says enemies because he is their enemy. At this point, he's decided he's going to kill them both. And he's warning them about these people in this building that might harm them, when it's like, well, that's what I am, but that's, whatever, they don't know. Like, I quite like it as a Gollum's thing. You can
point. I didn't think of that.
You can sort of see Gollum's thought process. He's just like, yeah, watch out, guys, there's danger over there. And then sort of thinking to himself, like, wouldn't want to be near danger.
He's a villain. Very nasty place. Full of enemies.
There's so much suspense as Smeagol constantly messes with Sam. It looks like he's about to attack Frodo, but then he doesn't and just acts like a child trying to pin his parents against each other. This looks like the most dangerous and comfiest cliff to sleep on. Gollum is actually so evil. He sabotages their final bits of food and
He used Sam's fatness against him. That's cruel.
Fatphobic.
Yes, it is.
Sam, and it's heartbreaking to see Frodo send his friend away. It's so sad and truly tests Sam's loyalty. And again, none of this was in the book. In the first movie, there's a flashback to Agent Smith in Mount Doom, but this has always annoyed me.
Destroy it!
You're not gonna stop him? He's kind of holding the ring.
I've heard this criticism before, so I assume we may have said this in the initial coverage, but Elrond stopping or taking the ring from Isildur would have dramatic political implications. And I know you're saying, like, it would be saving the world, but it's not going to work out is kind of the point. And I think Elrond's position as well is, like, this is a test for man, and they're failing. because the elves are going to leave the land at some point, right? Like this is their decision to make, sort of thing. But it would also cause more than likely a war if he was to.
If he were to actually attack Isildur, that would cause a lot of problems.
Okay.
I understand where it comes from, right?
Yeah, no,
I
get it. It's
If
not
Elrond had
a
grabbed him and fucking took the ring and threw it in, it's like, yeah, that would have solved the whole thing. It's just that you have to kind of understand Elrond's point of view and everything they've been through, how high stress it is, and then being like, you're going to do this, right? And then knowing that if he was to try and stop him, how everything could crumble apart.
It's a matter of maybe he doesn't want to get the ring himself. Maybe he doesn't want to
That's
grab
also...
it. Similar how like Gandalf's like, I will not, I refuse to touch it,
Or
like under
Galadriel.
any circumstance whatsoever. Of just, I don't want to touch it, especially because if an elf gets the ring, it's like, oh shit, that could be like real dangerous.
Yeah.
The apocalypse.
So there's that.
Tackle him and throw his ass into the volcano with it. Who cares? The fate of the world is at stake. He just lets him walk away. The motivations of the characters are all well paced. Boromir, played by Sean Bean, wants to attempt to use the ring for good, while the others believe that it's impossible, causing a debate. The main premise is about these races all coming together as one. Bit hypocritical though, the movie clearly portrays hobbits as the superior race. When do they ever show that the hobbits are super? Did you watch the film? Boromir is a
I forgot, that was one of your original points, was it?
Yeah,
They
because
can't
I
all
think
be
like
the
even
same.
Was it because they were resilient to the ring? Was that the idea, or?
But the thing is that look at how resilient Smeagol was to the ring. It took like 5 seconds.
Well, he's possibly the least resilient in the entire trilogy.
Also, his cousin was also not super resilient either. They were both fighting each other.
I think in the original review, I call the movies racist as well, because they showed them as being black, even though the main villain is like the whitest guy in the entire universe. He's literally called Saruman the White.
Yeah, they are racist to white people, I agree.
Another character with a great arc. He's constantly tempted by the ring, and it always keeps you guessing on what side he's actually on. I mean, at first he wants the ring to use it for good, so all of his scenes where he tries to take it from Frodo, you don't know if it's him genuinely wanting it for good, or if the ring is manipulating his mind to steal it for evil. It's actually very cleverly written. In the extended cut, however, Boromir's father Denethor actually convinces him to try to steal the ring, which I'm really not a fan of. It just takes away what I found.
Oh no, this is like one of our favorite scenes.
Well, no, this is something I kind of disagree with now, because it adds more to the character. So I think I'll go on to say it ruins the mystery, but I disagree with that. It kind of adds depth to it.
So, in reference to the relationship between Boromir and the ring, this just sets him on the path toward it, right? Like, all you said about whether or not the ring is manipulating him or whether or not he's just hell-bent on getting it to use it as a weapon. Like, I still think that's all present. What I love about the scene, of course, is giving us the dynamics of Denethor, Faramir, and Boromir, and the pressures and what everything, all this means to all of them.
I got real sad when I found out that this scene was only in the extended.
Yeah, if you can believe it.
Because in terms of ranking, like, the scenes that, like, Saruman's death is the biggest mistake in terms of removing it. I'd say this one is second. Like, that this is the second most important scene that shouldn't have been cut.
It's so important to see Boromir as this really, strong leader that is respected and beloved and worked really hard to protect Osgiliath and works to try and defend his brother too. All of those things are just gone in the theatrical.
Yeah, and I think it contributes to people thinking that Boromir is just an asshole.
Yeah.
Which I don't even think you don't need this scene to understand who Boromir is. But, like, yeah, seeing Boromir just as, like, an archetypal hero figure in this scene, I think just helps.
And also, this is a Two Towers deleted scenes, and Two Towers is where we meet Faramir. So this is also bolstering Faramir's relationship and Denethor.
That's how
That's why this is the second worst, like, cut.
That's how this seems prompted, right? Is Faramir's thinking about this? Like, he's remembering.
He's in the cave with all his dudes.
Right.
He's thinking about the last time they met.
And plus, I want more Boromir scenes. I want him in there.
I saw there was a video I recommended that said 6 minutes of Boromir just being a good man or whatever, and I was like,
I had that in my recommended as well. Yeah, I saw that one.
It's true. All of his scenes is true, except maybe one or two.
That's the thing. Boromir is a tragic character.
Yeah.
And if bad things happen to bad people, it's not tragedy.
His whole character. But to fulfill Boromir's arc completely, he shows up to fight and redeem himself, but nobody is surprised that Sean Bean dies. But man, talk about taking death like a champion. How many times does he need to be shot to die? I love the character of Frodo. He's just this little hobbit with no prospects or anything, but thanks to his uncle being a nosy little bastard, he has to clean up his mess and is now on a life-endangering journey that he...
Hey, Bilbo just picked up a nice ring, okay? He's like, oh, look at this ring.
If you saw a ring like that, you'd pick it up too.
I think I would, to be fair.
All of us would. We'd be like, oh, sweet, the one ring.
The super interesting thing about Frodo, because it's in the Council of Elrond, it's the reason why essentially everybody accepts him doing it is because he doesn't have any apparent ambitions for wanting the ring compared to anybody else, where obviously Boromir's got his concerns about Gondor wanting to use the ring, and then you've got the conflict between the dwarves and the elves, and then you just have Frodo, just this innocent hobbit saying, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, because there's probably an aspect of him that, like, even if he gets corrupted, it's like, whatever, he's a fucking hobbit. Like, we'll just kick him and take the ring. Like,
I like to think that's a lot lower down than, oh, how inspiring that the little hobbit wants to take the ring, because Gandalf's the expression on his face. It's beautiful. I love it.
I've seen people say that expression means that Gandalf is, like, sad because, he doesn't want Frodo to have it. But I think it's like a combination. That's why I love it so much as an expression.
I think it's exceedingly complicated. I think that that's partly he's got a long and difficult road ahead of him. But also, well, I will do the best that I can to help him. Bear the burden.
Yeah, and it's of course he comes through, because that's who he is. That guy, that hobbit, and hobbits in general, just having this sense of like, they get that chance to help out and they take it.
Gandalf, when he's talking to Pippin, when he tells him to light the beacons, he says, this is another chance for the hobbits to, the shy people to prove their great worth. He really likes hobbits.
They're pretty neat.
Yeah, they're good lads.
Really isn't prepared for. He's just thrown into this, not really being comfortable with it at all. And here, Gimli wants to head through some mines, but Gandalf really doesn't want to. We assume beforehand that Gandalf is in charge, but he actually lets Frodo make the decisions, solidifying him as the hero and the chosen one. It's an interesting change from the book. In the novel, Gandalf actually suggests they go through the mines, but the others don't like the idea. But they are then chased by wolves, so they have no choice but to go there. It's a solid change to make Frodo a lot more integral to the story. It's his decision that leads to the most heartbreaking moment of the entire film. Gandalf's death is truly devastating.
What is the most heartbreaking, Gandalf or Boromir?
Well, I think it's. Oh, I think.
I don't mind anybody picking Gandalf. I think it makes sense to pick Gandalf. It's just I
don't blame him. Yeah.
I don't blame you. I think one thing that makes Boromir the toughest is to deal with is because he knows what he's done after he's done it, and there's that legitimate sorrow and sadness over him, and you really, really, really feel bad for him.
The thing that always gets to me on top of basically everything else is Gandalf gets to, I say this is a very strange sentence, gets to die knowing that they're escaping. That's the exit to Moria. They've made it. They're out.
Meanwhile, Boromir dies believing he failed to protect Merry and Pippin.
Like, watching them scream as they're getting dragged away, it sucks.
Also, having recently freaked the fuck out and tried to steal the ring from Frodo as well.
That's what I mean. It hits me so much harder because of the fact he failed Frodo, failed the Fellowship, and then failed Merry and Pippin, and watches this army of evil take them away, and he just has to lie there with arrows in him. It sucks.
Yeah.
And then, all that comes out of the death
comes
scene.
along and comforts him,
Yeah.
and then it's And then there's the fact that Gandalf lived.
People in the chat are saying Boromir because Gandalf came back, which is fair.
Well, the thing is that you said in this film, so like if you took it as just Fellowship and people didn't know that Gandalf was coming back, like if people didn't know that, then I think
either. So
no, exactly. Yeah. So I think it's still a fair point to point to this one, even though I believe it's Boromir.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
who hadn't read the books or had no knowledge of him returning, it's such a tragic moment.
Exactly.
Gandalf was Frodo's only guidance, his only authority figure, and now he's gone, and it's because of the direction Frodo told him to go, so he's going to blame himself. But because of their journey, they can't even stop to mourn and take in what just happened. They have no choice but to suck it up, get over it, and keep moving, making the heartbreak that much more tragic. Frodo struggles to come to terms with it, but is told that someone as small as him can effectively change the world. He's given a vision of what will happen if he fails, so it's a good thing there's no pressure. When Boromir persists and demands the ring from Frodo, he even becomes vulnerable straight after he fails. But because of this, Frodo no longer knows who he can trust, which adds to his destroyed confidence and psyche even more.
Yeah, it's all really well built. The Boromir doing that on top of everything Galadriel told him. He's just like, I can't be around any of you guys. Like, you're gonna fucking try to kill me. Which, it would have been really interesting, an angle to continue as a full fellowship and to see who would start falling first to the ring and his influence and stuff.
Who would be next, do you think? Who do you think?
You know, I just don't, I think that Legolas and Gimli would be no less, you know, like, susceptible than the average person. I don't see why not. And it would just be, imagine that film where they're just gradually getting more and more interested in the ring and Frodo and being like, hey, how you doing? You alright? Yeah, maybe. Getting heavy,
That would be interesting, yeah. What if the Two Towers was the Fellowship continuing together towards Mordor?
Yeah. Another timeline.
I'm really not a fan of Legolas, played by Orlando Bloom.
Oh, no.
I'm not particularly keen on the actor anyways, he seems to only have one face, but the character...
True.
So,
you know what? After I did this, I watched all of the Pirates movies, and I have an issue with him in those as well. It's just one face. I'm not a fan of Orlando Bloom.
He's
and you should watch our war movie arc.
Yeah, we did a couple of movies in a row with him, and I went from being like, he's fine to, he might be terrible, actually. Like, I actually thought he was cast kind of well as Legolas because of that being an aspect, in the same way that Artie is good as the, a Terminator. Like, it functions, but would never praise Orlando Bloom for his acting abilities. Though I will say, and Wolf pointed out in the watch through that we did, the expression Orlando Bloom has when Gandalf says it's a Balrog is quite effective, and it's a little bit different than his usual face. Like, he looks pretty terrified. It's like, oh, good for you. There you go.
Elf, and he is absolutely perfect at everything. I watched all 3 films as carefully as I could, and not once does he ever get hit with anything. He never slips, he never falls, he never gets knocked down, he hits every single arrow.
He has a little trouble on the Mumakil saddle.
I think he does miss an arrow, doesn't he, at one point, and then he hits a subsequent arrow after that.
I also, in Return of the King, isn't he stopped from saving Aragorn? He tries to get to him, but he can't.
Oh yeah, he tries to get to him.
And then he also he fails to bring down the guy who blows up the Deeping Wall, right? In Helm's Deep.
He lands the hit, but he doesn't stop.
Got to get him in the head. He misses twice.
I think the guy was wearing a helmet, wasn't he? That orc was wearing a helmet.
I mean,
I guess if he hit him in the eye, maybe.
Well, that or the neck, right? But or the heart. But I guess
I feel like he hits him damn near in the neck.
I thought he got him in the shoulders. I can't
it's
remember.
Like in like the shoulder going down into him.
But that orc was just really determined.
He really.
Oh, he was a legend. That guy.
Really
but I will say he is probably the highest skilled of all the Fellowship. Like
that makes sense considering how long he's been alive.
I think I understand people not being particularly emotionally invested in Legolas, but that at the same time I wouldn't consider it any kind of problem that he is as good as he is. I see it as like consistent that he is this accurate because he's lived for how long? Like, is it 1,000 years or something ridiculous?
It's something crazy. Yeah.
So he knows what he's doing. Like, and
some scenes are really cool. Like when he takes down the elephant, that's cool. Like I'm not saying that it's not awesome what he does, but I just don't think it makes for a particularly interesting character at points.
Some people have been known to consider that scene bad and goofy. So don't worry, even if you didn't like that.
What?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Some crazy folk out there don't like it, and think it's at odds with the film. I don't know who would think that, but it's
nobody thought
they hate it for no reason.
For no reason at all.
Absolutely everything with no worry at all. I mean, he even takes on an entire troll by himself. Okay, it takes all of them to kill it, but still, he gets a perfect shot in hell from a mile away.
I have a slight nitpick.
That's cool.
I have a nitpick with Legolas killing the troll.
Do it.
So, Let's okay. So if you're on top of the troll and you want to shoot an arrow into his skull, the more arrows you put on your bowstring, the less energy those arrows will have when they are released from the bow. So
Don't they bounce off, don't they? They don't actually go through.
Oh, or were you talking about when he fought? Because in the elephant, didn't he pull 3 back?
He said that.
Didn't he shoot 3 into the
Oh yeah.
Oh,
If
but
it
you
was
said
the elephant, yeah, I might have mixed.
Troll,
I think
yeah.
I might have mixed them up. Yeah, but if you were gonna kill, if you wanted to get into him, you'd only shoot 1 arrow. Shooting multiples is just weaker arrows.
Well, because I was going to say on the troll, I think he fires 2 in the back, but they bounce and break off, and then he gets 1 on the neck on the underside, right, where the skin would be thinner. I guess.
Yeah, he like stuns it right by shooting it.
Yeah, it goes like
upward into the neck or something like that. Yeah.
Superman would have been a little off with that shot.
Got knuckles for 8.
I mean, they might as well just send Legolas. That's all they need. I mean,
They do send Legolas and an army of ghosts.
Aragorn
He
takes
ran
on
out of
loads
arrows.
walks on his own, but at least it looks like he's struggling.
Well, yeah, I will give it to you. I kind of like the variety, right? Legolas is just flawlessly just mincing through enemies, but Aragorn's combat always feels like rough, raw, and he earns every single last kill. Particularly,
and then, of course, Gimli.
Yeah, I was going to say, in Amon Hen, I fucking love all the different cuts to Aragorn where he's, like, using all of his weaponry, headbutting, dragging them into walls, kicking them, like, it's all...
Oh, yeah, and he looks like he's really scrambling. You remember the
Yeah.
shot where it's like he's sort of tumbling forward and then stabs his sword through the Urukai and then, like,
Yeah.
spins around and drags it out. It's cool.
I love the one where
Like,
he
watching him fight is cool.
almost sets the sword on their neck and then runs it through, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That
So
one's
fucking
great,
cool.
where he knocks him down, slides it there, yeah. And then, because I do love the shot where he's, like, doing that one-on-one brawl with the Urukai. Meanwhile, Legolas is just effortlessly dispatching him, like, 7 of them. I love that shot.
Legolas would do all of...
Yep.
Rob, have you seen the Hobbit trilogy?
I have not. I've heard mixed
Okay.
thoughts on them.
They're very
You need
mixed
to watch
movies.
You gotta watch the scene where Legolas is fighting while they're going down the rapids.
Oh, God.
Legolas.
In the
Because I was going
barrel.
to ask, because in that, because even though character-wise he's actually pretty decent in those movies, they crank him up into like being an actual supernatural god of war. So I was curious if you had.
I thought Rags, I thought you were the one that said they made him an asshole in those movies.
Oh my God, is
Asshole?
Rags inconsistently written?
Yes.
Maybe there was a time maybe when was this?
In the fucking recordings that we did for the movies.
I think he's a little bit of an asshole. Maybe I was talking about Thranduil.
No, you were talking about Legolas, because I remember editing in a
being an
picture of
asshole?
Legolas when you said it.
Oh my God.
Maybe. No. Yeah, I think he's
no.
got some assholey moments, but I think he's a decent character in those in that trilogy, and I think.
So what's
I think
happening
he's
right
set up-
now? What's happening
Wait,
right
what's
now?
the
is that-
inconsistency?
What's happening right now is that Mauler is Phoenix, right? And
You
Rags
could be
is
a
on
bit of
the
an asshole
stand
and be a decent
sweating.
character.
You're sweating. You're kind of there
No.
like, ooh, this is.
Wait, is that emoji?
Asshole and be a bit of a decent.
It's that
character.
YouTube emoji where it's eating their hand. See it with the red face.
No, there is nothing inconsistent here.
Yeah, I mean there was past Rags and now there's present Rags. They're
that's
separated by
literally
about a
not
month.
true.
No, we're heading to the breakdown.
This is
the
mad.
Phoenix
First
Wright
off, this is
breakdown.
madness. You can be an asshole at times and still be a decently written character.
That's
This
not
is
what you
not a
said. You
contradiction.
said that he was characterized well or whatever, but then you said he was an asshole to highlight how they'd gotten him wrong in the recording.
I'd have to see. I honestly don't remember. I legitimately don't remember what I said in the recording.
Because he was an asshole from what I
But
remember. He's all into that stupid triangle and he's obsessed with Toriel or whatever her name is.
Yeah, he is. He wants
obsessed
to
with
bang
the wasp.
her.
Ugh.
He wants to. He has a fondness for Toriel. Yes.
Boring. Why can't he just
However,
kill
I
everything?
still think he's a decent character. I still think he's a decent character. When we watch them, we can double check. But I do think that he's set up decently well, because The Hobbit serve as a prequel essentially to these movies, as inconsistent in quality as they are. But I think if you watch those, what Legolas is in those two movies really sort of does decently set him up to this one, to be in the Lord of the Rings one.
of this blindfolded with one arm tied behind his back without breaking a sweat, whilst drunk. I just find it so difficult to buy the tension and suspense anytime Legolas is in danger. They're fine. Let's be honest, they're fine. He's the Middle-earth Jesus.
I mean, I guess Jesus was far from fine, but shut up.
Still an atheist. Cool.
Base.
He hits every...
I thought you just meant that he got fucked up. Like, the Jesus didn't manage to,
every single arrow. Just miss one. That's all I ask. Just one. Oh, slip over. Have a bird poop on your head. I don't know. Any kind of misfortune.
As he's running along, a bird just poops
That'll
on
be
him.
the extended editions, that scene.
Yeah. He even steals Gimli's kill for crying out loud.
Not the only time he's tried to do that, too. Terrible.
He's like, if he was playing like Halo, whenever Gimli's like, "All right, I'm gonna assassinate you," he'd get the yoink more than a few times. Yoink,
yoink.
It's not, not right. It's not okay.
Well, I will say, I'm surprised that Legolas's kill count is like one off of Gimli's by the end of Helm's Deep. It's just like, how did that even happen?
It's a little
dude?
bit of an inconsistency.
He's up to 17 when Gimli's got 2. Like, how did you do that and then manage to level out?
Even skateboards.
Well, maybe Legolas had to go get more arrows. So
He like literally just walks away for a lot, goes to the arrow store. Like, yes, I would
he's
like
in
to
the
have
Helm's
30.
Deep shop, the cash shop.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've killed 26 orcs.
There's like a really
Tokens for
friendly,
26 orcs.
shop owner there who is just aloof, doesn't know this is going on.
It's like a Killing Floor 2 map. He has to go to the merchant and he has to restock on ammunition before the next wave begins. And Gimli's like, nah, I'm a melee character.
Well, they're all like, there's no waves, they just keep coming. He's like, no, there's a wave. We got time.
The waves keep coming? What do you mean? Have you never been to the beach?
Yeah.
Every single target. Just miss one! He takes down an entire elephant on his own and still
Kind of funny how saying he takes down an entire elephant is an understatement, like a dramatic understatement of what he
takes
does.
down the elephant and every bad guy on it.
Well, this thing is an enormous elephant, even.
Yeah, it's a chongus elephant. It's a lot bigger than a regular elephant. And then he slides down the trunk as well.
Style points.
And there's a pose, yeah.
has time to pose. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks cool as hell, but what good is a character who never has any struggles or conflicts? I mean, I guess he briefly struggles whilst holding onto the elephant. That's the...
Yeah, there are some bits and bobs where he has a bit of struggle, but I would actually, I think, were we talking about this? That if we were to tweak Lord of the Rings, which we would never, but I'd probably add a bit more for Legolas. He feels like the character that has the least out of all of them.
Yeah, even though for what little we get between Legolas and Gimli works really well, I still feel like we could do more, you know?
The best I got. Frodo nearly dies 3 times in the first movie, and this kind of character is much more human and interesting, as opposed to one who just overcomes everything without a care in the world. What about the racist orcs?
I think it's to highlight how good elves are, how incredible elves are.
Oh yeah, they're OP.
Racist? What are you even on?
Well, they're clearly portraying black people.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness, even though that one's definitely an American Indian, but true, yeah.
What's the one on the right there? What's he up to? Is that the one that says
what about their legs? They don't need those.
Yeah, he's the one like just a bite, you know, just a little snack.
This is like a cut off the flank or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah. What was the channel that did the orc video? What one was that? We covered them, right? Wasn't it the one that made that weird race comparison thing?
Oh, you're talking about extra credits?
Yeah, that's right.
The one
what does it do?
Do you remember the I think it was in the thumbnail as well, or at least in our thumbnail, but at one point they show like an orc, like a straight up orc, and then they just show this black lady with a coffee, and it's like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, the granny. Yeah. They show the Warcraft orc, and then the little old black granny with her coffee, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Doing?
You got some demons you need to sort
out. The whole
out
internet
credits.
will laugh at their ass off of that video. It's so embarrassing. Do you remember we covered them as well when they said we can't have you being able to choose the Nazis in an FPS World War game without an explanation of why the Nazis were
you're
bad.
A Nazi? Yeah, that was like, and then suddenly you're a Nazi.
That was the suggested fix. Is when you start up the matchmaking, it's like the Nazis were. That explains the whole thing. Like you're playing as the bad guys, just so you know.
Disgusting orcs. I mean, in the books they refer to them as Mongol types. I mean,
wait, is it Mongol or mongrel?
Mongol.
Oh,
that just means the book might have been a little bit racist, not the movie. I I'm just saying. The only one racist in the film is Gimli.
I will be dead before I see the ring in the hands of an elf.
Gimli has
goes
such
on
Gimli
his,
was my favorite character.
he goes on his, like racism arc, you know? Yeah. It's like in like he goes on his little arc. And you know what, you elves, you ain't so bad after all.
Yeah.
It's more so Legolas isn't so bad after all, like, but that's still okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Legolas is like, so you're chill with elves now? And he's like, no, but I like you.
Oh, not really. You're alright.
That's what it was. Wait, isn't that something that happens? I remember it might have been Gary that was saying it, but like, does Gimli take Legolas to like, I don't know, and go on an event? I can't remember the futures of all the characters. I remember I found them very endearing when someone was describing what happens to them all after Lord of the Rings.
It's like the opposite of Star Wars.
Yes, they don't all crumble apart, become depressing, absentee fucking idiots that destroy everything. Crazy. You never would have thought.
Strong arc throughout the 3 films, and I love it. Gimli starts out not liking elves. The others don't take the hobbits too seriously at first, but this all changes throughout the trilogy as they all learn that it doesn't matter where you come from. We're all the same. It's a terrific message and well ahead of its time for a book series written during the Second World War. Gimli even risks his life to save Aragorn. It shows his growth as a character throughout the film, starting out by hating other races and now risking his life for them.
Toss me. I cannot jump the distance, you'll have to toss me.
That means something very different in the UK. I wouldn't really use that.
I mean,
elaborate.
Toss me off would be what you referred to, right?
Oh,
because
is that when you can still penis off and throw it? What?
No. Hand job.
Yeah, but
all right.
We don't. Yeah, like tosser and toss me off. But like,
like you make a sort of tossing motion, sort of as you're stroking the penis up and down. Yeah.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah,
nice.
I think I could see. Because everyone at home, you could sort of do the motions in front of you, and you can kind of see why that. Yeah, I could see how that works. Yeah.
That word, dude.
You need
There's
the word
this
off
uber
at the end.
orc called Lurtz, who is quite badass, even pulling himself further onto a sword after...
Lurtz doesn't get enough appreciation for doing that. Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, you know that Aragorn was like, what the fuck? Like,
what is wrong with you? Jesus Christ.
being
Saruman
stabbed.
was crack.
But then is decapitated for his troubles. He doesn't get much screen time, but it's to be expected for a generic big bad troll man. And credit to this film, they kill off 2 main characters in the first movie, and both are super emotional. I mean Boromir and Gandalf, not Lurtz.
No, I was very emotional when Lurtz died. I was like, no, Lurtz.
I cried for Lurtz.
Shed tears for the Lurtz.
Just I wept for my
I
king.
really feel that Frodo is a broken man at the end of the first movie. He's already gone through hell, and we're only one.
He really has. He's died like 3 times, like you mentioned. He's already just like, this is fucking shit. But I guess I gotta keep going.
Film in. His uncle has gone away. He's lost Gandalf, who was like a grandfather to him, and he feels like he caused his death. Boromir wanted to use the ring for good, and he dies, and it's all down to him. Frodo is protecting the ring, so he naturally feels accountable for any deaths that come from this adventure. He isn't even sure he can trust Sam, but reluctantly agrees to let him continue with them anyway. Because the original plan was for The Two Towers to actually be the 3rd and final film of the trilogy, it proved the hardest to write, as some of it was wrapping up the Fellowship of the Ring, and they didn't know how to begin or end the movie, as there wasn't a clear focus. Boromir's death was actually in the beginning of the Two Towers book, but was moved to the end of the Fellowship movie instead. The book also ended with the group going to Isengard and Frodo meeting the giant spider.
So yeah, funny thing about this is on Gary's stream when we were talking about Lord of the Rings, he had a super chat from someone saying like the fact that Shelob wasn't in the end of Two Towers was enough for them to say like, fuck this, I'm not watching the 3rd one. And like,
jeez, what a loser.
Well, Gary was like, yeah, well, watch the 3rd one. Like, if you want to see Shelob, watch the 3rd one. Like,
but this was all saved for the 3rd movie. Why does the giant spider want to fuck Frodo? Why do you see sex with everything? I mean, it's just there. Don't you think it clearly looks like Gandalf is butt fucking Pippin? No! In the Two Towers film, the King of Rohan, Theoden, played by Bernard Hill, is
possessed by Saruman. But in the book, he was just depressed and emotionally manipulated by Wormtongue.
One thing I really don't like about this movie is that it opens by showing what happened to Gandalf after he fell down.
oh, you agree with Drinker, huh?
Oh, you're wrong like Drinker is. Okay.
into the abyss. Now, I'm all for a recap. This just ruins the illusion for me and kind of spoils the surprise return later in the film. They constantly refer to a white wizard and a group of Ents, giant living trees, take in Merry and Pippin and seemingly are surrendering them to this.
Wait, are you saying that you can intuitively understand that we're going to be getting Gandalf the White?
Yeah, well, if you start the movie with him falling down, then he's.
I mean,
possibly
maybe.
Remember, it's contextualized as a nightmare that Frodo is having.
Yeah. And I don't know that. I think a new viewer would have no reason. If you've read the books, then you obviously know what's happening anyway. But if you haven't,
no reason.
But if someone was to think that, like, after I saw that scene, I had a feeling Gandalf would come back, but be in white robes and be called Gandalf. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's way too beyond.
Yeah.
So, like, I think this still works. The whole, like, I'm going to take you to see the White Wizard, who'd be like, oh, fuck, Saruman. Like, there's no reason I think we would think that's Gandalf. Even with the scene he's fighting like Balrog.
Yeah.
Wizard. They and the audience initially assume it's Saruman, but surprise, it's actually Gandalf who is now back from the dead. I just think this shock was ruined by showing that scene at the beginning of the film. The fight with the Balrog looks cool and everything, but I would have just cut this out, or at least saved it for later when—
Cut it out! Oh my god! It's so wonderful.
Gandalf explained what happened to him.
What is it, Mr. Frodo?
Gandalf! Idiot. The fact that this is a fantasy story could entice people to watch it with their children, which I'd encourage, but only if they aren't a damn pussy. The image—
True, because that little girl in my
are gonna be
year 4 class cried with the lid stuff, so some children can't handle it, but some children can. And they will love it forever.
The imagery is so dark. The orcs are so grotesque and vicious looking. And later on, we see disembodied heads under some water. Frodo falls in, and the imagery is quite scary and really captures your attention. Some of the voice acting is also kind of off.
We ain't had nothing but maggoty bread for 3 stinking days.
Why can't we have some meat?
But man, Aragorn—
I like that second one.
I love that second one. It sounds so disgusting.
The second one is great. I don't agree with the first one, but I guess I could see what you mean. But the second one,
maggoty bread for 3 stinking days.
And plus, when you have them side by side, the big one has the deeper voice, and the little one is that squirrely kind of like.
Really gives a sense that they're all just disgusting creatures that have been pulled out of the ground. Like you don't know what you get with these.
Recaps all of Merry and Pippin's movements just from tracks in the dirt. He's a better detective than Batman.
There are dead things. Dead faces in the water.
Oh, hey, you're right.
Aww.
Oh my goodness. You have a dead
I'm
face?
self-aware. Yeah, my channel is.
Oh, okay.
Full of memory.
I'm gonna pause just for. Do you ever worry about copyright? Like, you never know these days. The amount of copyright trouble I had with making the video we did recently covering the 3 films was a fucking nightmare. But I assume you were okay. I don't know if a scene like this is long enough to get you hit, but it was for me.
Oh, I get claims every day. Yeah. I understand.
And anger.
Star Wars fans? I thought it was cool to like Star Wars. Does it change?
20.
Oh wait,
yeah,
this is from back in.
This is 2017. So
it's the beginning of the end.
The tide hadn't turned yet.
Yeah, Last Jedi was about to come out. It was slightly okay to talk about Star Wars.
Appropriate usage of the time travel.
I would even go as far as saying, but just on the day TLJ came out, Star Wars as a fandom was pretty hype. Like it was big, and oof, the damage, the absolute. This is the thing I would love to see. I say this every once in a while with just talk about these sorts of things. If Disney was sent back in time and they could remake from the beginning, right? Do it all over. Yeah. I wonder how different everything would be. Like I wonder what they would use the actors for. I wonder if Rey would even exist. I wonder if they would undo that completely.
Nah, they would do a redo. They'd do a different one.
I'd wonder if they would go hyper safe and do it just Luke, Han, and Leia for another 3 films and just be like, just do that.
I hope they would. That already just sounds better.
Good. Well, I just because like it would just be interesting, and they think they're the only ones that know, but we also know about the alternate timeline. We're just watching them, keeping an eye, being like, "What you up to there, Disney?" we tell everybody about the alternate timeline. They don't believe us. They're like, oh, they make the Han a deadbeat dad who abandons his family and then gets stabbed by his son. They're just like, no. Luke abandons the whole galaxy and becomes like drunk on titty milk until he dies too. It's like, why?
Like, did we do this in an alternate timeline? Was this us? Would we have done this?
Sounds ridiculous. This has never happened.
But I really think Saruman needs to hire better work. No wonder Middle-earth is in such a state when minimum wage is going towards guards like this. They are right there when Frodo throws his cloak over them to hide as a rock, and suddenly they become John Cena.
Funnily enough, because
remember
the rock looks good, and I can buy it because it's a magical cloak. It's the coming down that throws me off, because it would be so easy to spot them as they're falling down and sliding down or whatever. And it's shot in a way that they try to make you think like, no, they didn't see him. And it's like, but they totally would have though. Like, I don't. It's hard for me to buy exactly.
No parent should have to bury their child.
Well, the McCanns did. I knew it. This is the.
Wait, did that get confirmed?
Yes.
Or you mean, because I never knew the end of that story. I only knew the beginning of it. The whole like the McCann. So what? Wait, did they kill her?
It's heavily believed, but it's not confirmed.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just being edgy.
I legit didn't know. I haven't kept up to date with my McCann lore.
The film where Aragorn begins to foreshadow his future acts as king. Even before he gets crowned, he realises that Theoden is being an idiot and tries to convince him to do what's right. Gollum's split personalities is done perfectly. He's evil and creepy, and yet also manages to come across as quite sympathetic as well.
And the dwarfs just spring out of holes in the ground.
Okay, that was such a fake laugh to his joke. That was such an obvious pity laugh, and trust me, I know a pity laugh when I hear one.
So Aragorn falls off a...
Well, but I mean, even if it was, that's nice of her, okay?
Yeah.
Gimli's telling his little stories and jokes. That's some good manners on Eowyn, you know?
Cliff in one scene and is presumed dead, but this wasn't actually in the book, and it's a change I don't really get. Peter Jackson claimed he put it in to create tension, but not a lot of time goes by before he returns anyway. And this trilogy already has a bunch of fake out deaths, so just a personal preference, this one didn't really seem needed. In the extended cuts there are more scenes where he's presumed dead. They do show how big a deal it is and show that he's needed as king, so it's not entirely pointless, but I feel like this could have been achieved by...
They also use it to give them Aragorn finds out about the Uruk-hai army, right? Like that's how they find out about it.
Théoden about it.
Yeah.
Having him be mortally wounded instead. And also, how the hell did he even survive this drop to begin with?
That's survivable.
He landed in the water?
Yeah, that's not I'm trying to it's hard to say how tall that is, but yeah, I could believe he could fall. And remember, he's Numenorian as well, so he's got like stat
that doesn't look like too big a drop.
Yeah, you should be right.
Wouldn't he have died on impact once hitting the water? But Aragorn shows how strong a hero he is by taking...
Streams down.
Well, I can still hear you guys.
Is it?
No,
yeah, I can...
the YouTube link says stream unavailable.
Oh dear. Live stream copyright notice. Your stream has been interrupted.
No!
Interesting.
My bad.
Like, how does this work usually? I think you just have to chill out for a little bit and then they let you come back. Is that how it works?
I think so.
Yeah, if you wait like a minute or two, it should be fine.
I'll pop up the copyright protection, but rip monetizing this episode. Like, that's okay. Are we
While we wait
back?
for that, I'm gonna go to the toilet again. 1 sec.
No problem. What an adventure!
What an adventure!
It's surprising how
These
effective
movies-
the copyright shield is, by the way. It genuinely solves all problems. That little EFAP logo.
Seems to be, yeah.
Oh, putting that on the 8 hours, man. Whoa.
Yep.
Oh, and I knew when it was premiering and I was looking at it, I was like, God, look at that, where it's just like, it just clips in and out and out and in and out all the time. The only time it doesn't come on is when it's like, you know, someone hitting something with a sword or some explosion. It's like, I was just trying to keep all of the interesting things in. Absolute nightmare. You guys have no idea. I would upload it and it would be like, oh yeah, just a claim on this little 5-second clip where, you know, Gandalf says one line. It's just like, yeah, okay, thanks. The fucking scene where he talks to Frodo about, you know, judgment and death and stuff, almost impossible to keep it in, because we didn't talk about that scene, we were talking about something else. Briggy knows this pain too. There are certain scenes in Lord of the Rings that, in retrospect, you know, we knew at the time when we were recording them that, like, we needed to talk about almost everything for the sake of the editor, but when you're watching them, you kind of just get taken away with it. And sometimes there's a conversation happening like, oh shit, we just went past a whole scene that people would probably want us to say things about. And then even for the editor, you can't even play the clips. It was a nightmare. But it worked out.
And it looks like we're back as well.
There you go.
So,
hooray, we did it.
For anyone who didn't hear all of that, the re-upload will hear it instead of getting nothing, so that's better. That'll work out.
Presumably copyright-tisms.
Yes. And I think I've heard of that before. YouTube will be like, they'll slap you and be like, you're not allowed to stream if you do that, so you better stop right now, and then we'll let you continue. And you're like, okay, jeez. I suppose I could re-edit this offline, just put the cover on for the whole thing. I guess that would work.
Do that, yeah.
It's not too bad. It's not too intrusive, but yes, away we go.
Taking charge as a battle begins at Helm's Deep. The third act of the Two Towers is tremendous. They are so close to Mordor, but then the battle at Helm's Deep.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not as good as the Battle of Winterfell. No.
Ew.
Oh, why would you say those words?
No.
Because that was their goal. Their goal was to make it better than Helm's Deep, and then they started with what the charge, right? The cavalry charge directly headfirst.
And they all died. It was so weird too because they all watched the cavalry ride off into the darkness and grab. Do you remember Rags? Were you there? Or was it just me?
I think I was.
The person that we were debating with on like one of Gary's streams, I think. We're talking so long ago now. I can't
know
remember
which one
anything.
you're talking about. I actually do remember the one you're talking about.
Their defense of the scene was that by seeing the lights go out gradually, it sort of tells you how hopeless the situation is. It was like,
I mean, I know that's what their goal
it's hopeless
is,
because
but...
of how stupid the decision was.
I mean, that's what would
gives you
happen.
the sense of hopelessness, yeah.
Good times.
It was indeed.
That was and didn't they have all of their like projectile like stuff on the outside, not in the walls?
Their catapults were outside the walls. Yeah, it was fucking crazy. I have no idea who organized that. Like on set, what were they thinking?
Well, in universe, it was organized by the most intelligent minds of all time.
Oh, that's so It was a collection of all of the best like warriors and veterans and stuff. It's like, how could they have fucked this up so hard?
Plan that they could come up with.
Oh, it was painful.
Well, I imagine that on set, what happened was it was written that way, and so it's like, oh fuck, like well locked. And maybe like on set they would have been told like, oh no, you got to understand, this is like more potent for the narrative. You're not a writer like we are, so you don't understand. But like, this is the way that it needs to be done because this is good for maximal drama.
It's like... cinematic language being utilized under the sense of dramatic fiction, paced out in order to create the maximum. Emotional
if they were
tension.
trying to do Helm's Deep, they would have noticed, oh yeah, everybody's actually
behind the
wall.
Yeah. What a stupid decision.
As opposed to in front of it. And that the whole goal is to keep them from getting inside for as long as possible.
Imagine Theoden was like, I want you men to stand out there. Yes,
women and children out front. Women and children
out front.
Again, the cavalry charge in Return of the King. That was a bad thing. The movie recognized that it was a bad thing.
Well, it's the most like almost crazy version of cavalry flanking the army while a war is happening because they were fucking huge. But yeah, at the same time, that was them arriving. They didn't even know what the nature of the fight was going to be. You have that shot of Theoden just seeing it and being like, "Fuck, well,
yeah,
let's get ready." Oh, Lord of the Rings, so neat.
And you can tell that this means everything. It is all or nothing now. The build-up is spectacular and absolutely nothing can ruin it.
You could have picked a better spot.
Okay, that was funny. To be fair, I wasn't really a big fan of Gimli at first, but he does grow on me.
But he does grow on me, like it's gonna happen.
I'm glad he grew on you. I'm very, very glad that he grew on me.
Yeah. Dude, I love his fucking attitude at Helm's Deep. He's so ready. He's just like, let's fucking go.
Your death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
And he really gets you psyched for the big third act there.
He's just short and annoying, and probably gay. The battle scene.
I mean, maybe.
And his main problem is he wants Frodo to rot, and I don't understand why.
Do you reference that in this video? Or I assume you have a lot of callbacks.
It is incredible. It is flawless. I can't find a single problem with it. It looks perfect. The battle is such an incredible spectacle. Look at it. The sheer production design is fantastic. You know what? These movies are amazing.
I heard, I read somewhere about, I forget who it was. It was one of the actors, or maybe it was Peter Jackson. I think it was one of the actors, but they were saying that shooting Helm's Deep was miserable because they had all the rain machines just pouring rain on them, and it was cold, and you had to be in all that get up. And of course, when you're shooting a movie, there's so much standing around, especially if you're an extra, and they have to get all their coverage shots and all their crane shots and everything like that. And they said it was absolutely miserable to shoot the scene. So when you look at it and you imagine it from like what the actors had to experience in order to make this whole thing, you know, happen, it gives you that appreciation of what they did.
Imagine the motivation too when it's miserable, and then you see the finished thing, and you're like, oh.
Wow.
So the next time you do it, you're like, yeah, I mean, let's do it. I know how this can turn out, so let's go.
Yeah.
Is this it? Is this all you can conjure, Saruman?
I am so going to die. Ha ha ha.
We must weather such things as we have always done.
How can that be your decision?
That's such a weird take. It doesn't even match the rest of the scene. The angle looks off, the delivery is weird. It's just a very weird take to go.
I mean, isn't the point that they've been waiting for ages, and that they've been patient with Treebeard and the other Ents, and that their hope is that they'll get not only them, but also the trees in general involved in the war, only to tell them, no, we won't be. So Merry at this point is actually fucking furious with them, which is why it's like a sudden change for him, instead of being like, because I think he hoped for a different outcome, and that's why he's like really angry, and hence the tightening up on him as well. At least that's what I got from it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't really think of that.
With. Even when side characters are in peril and could be dying, it still means everything. This is a trilogy with so many characters, and yet if any of them are close to death, you care so much. That says a lot about Peter Jackson's directing and writing, as well as the cast's amazing acting performances. In the book, the Ents actually agreed to joining the war without any need for convincing, but in the movie they refused to help until Merry and Pippin show them what Saruman did to all of the trees. Yep, damaging the ecosystem is exactly what brings on a war in Middle-earth. But I do like this addition. This was done to show that Merry and Pippin weren't just an inconvenience. They weren't just being babysat during the second film, and they were actually contributing to the fight against evil, even if it wasn't physically yet.
Yep.
Sam and Frodo get taken hostage by Boromir's brother Faramir, who understandably doesn't trust them after his brother's death, which is decent enough motivation, but it was quite different in the book. In the novel, Faramir did this, but he sensed the ring's power pretty early on and let them go. Whereas here, it takes him quite a while. Here, he wants the ring to go to his father.
A subplot is that Boromir was the child prodigy,
and Faramir wanted to grant him the ring for approval. And you root for this. You root for Faramir to gain his approval. You get so much sympathy for the guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. We actually discussed this with I think Drinker said that he thought that going to Osgiliath and the Faramir stuff was like pointless. He didn't value it, but I especially on the rewatch, I really like it. Like in terms of
I really do too. I have a particular fondness for Faramir, and I think that we learn a lot about not only what he wants, but what he's willing to give up. And you know, that's where he learns a lot about Boromir, and it all really meshes together quite well. And it shows, especially in the Two Towers, it shows how different things would have been if Boromir was still alive.
Yeah, and that push and pull on Faramir for doing things based on the approval of his father, what's best for Gondor, but also recognizing what happened to his brother, not wanting to repeat the mistakes. It's there's a lot going on. I really like it.
What can men do against such reckless hate?
Make a 9-hour live stream about it. 9 hours! Like anyone would watch that. But man,
it's crazy. They do. They all do.
There's crazy people out there. They're nuts.
They should be locked up in a nice place where they get to watch EFAP streams.
And I get goosebumps when the cavalry shows up. This is phenomenal. The Ents get involved, and this whole thing is extraordinary.
What are you doing?
Auditioning for my role in Sin City. And the film ends with Gollum, who for most of the movie has remained more sympathetic and calm, turning far more sinister at the end for an excellent cliffhanger leading into the next film. Despite being the third and final installment to the trilogy, Peter Jackson actually considered Return of the King to be the easiest one to make, as it was the climax for the whole story. Despite being the longest of the three films,
I wouldn't be surprised, because if they did it all, not necessarily all chronologically, but like chunks of it, They probably would have figured out a lot of how they were doing everything by the time they got to Return of the King's major scenes.
I can totally understand why you would find the beginning bits more difficult. How do you get the setups done? Because a lot of the times, especially if you're writing really well and you have a plan, you kind of have your work finished almost. You have a very clear roadmap, and you just have to finish up what you've set up for yourself. So, yeah. A well-written character is almost, in a way, predictable.
Mm-hmm.
It actually cut out the most from the source material. Some events depicted in the film were actually in the second book, continuing Jackson's storytelling style of altering the timeline. We get a decent origin story of Smeagol, which is a solid opener and works as a cool continuation of the last film's cliffhanger. Let go? Man, he really wants that fish.
No, he wants
that. It's a prize fish, dude. He can't be letting go. He's gonna tell the whole Shire about that fish.
Shows that Smeagol was manipulated into killing his own cousin for the ring. It helps us dive into his psyche even more, but also connects back to Sam and Frodo, as we now know that Gollum has...
Oh, that scene as an opener is so effective for so many reasons. It's such a great choice they put it there. Makes it that fucking terrifying life for Smeagol, that just come in here and him being like, come on, hobbits, wake up. It's just like, oh, Jesus.
Killed a hobbit before, and they may even remind him of his own cousin, which is why he's so psychotic around them. In a weird way, it actually makes Gollum's character even more sympathetic. Sure, he killed his cousin, but it was due to the ring. But what makes it more interesting is we don't really know if it was his own greediness or if it was genuinely the ring's power corrupting him. The most controversial change is that in the theatrical cut, we don't actually see Saruman's death. Yeah, he's the villain.
Is it controversial when it's broadly accepted to have been a mistake? I wonder if that makes it controversial.
It certainly would have been at the time, right? And then
at the time, yeah.
But at this point, no one's denying this was a bad move.
For 6 hours, and in this cut, they just say,
"There's a wizard to manage here, locked in his tower."
And we never see him again. In the extended...
It's so crazy, because like when I was gathering clips from the theatrical version to throw into the hour coverage, the fact that Treebeard says that there's a wizard in here, that it just cuts to Gandalf and he goes, and there he shall remain. And it's like, no.
I need to know.
Cut. He's attacked and brutally impaled, and it makes no sense to have cut that scene out completely. Christopher Lee was infuriated by this decision and held it against Peter Jackson for years, and I feel like it's completely warranted. It's such a dumb move.
It's not just that they cut it, it's that they didn't tell him as well, as far as I'm aware, and he found out while watching the film. At least I remember reading that, and it's just like, damn, that's fucked up.
Something stirs in the east.
But like, hopefully it's a comfort to him that everyone considers the extended, or at least most people consider the extended to be the definitive versions, and that's what people reference and stuff, so that scene is in.
A sleepless malice.
An obvious green screen. I think the pacing is done really well. The previous films had Aragorn be smitten with Eowyn, but suddenly she vanishes and he seems to be interested in another woman. On first viewing, you wonder what the hell happened to Eowyn, but now we get a flashback to explain it. Things like this were helped by the fact that the trilogy was all filmed simultaneously, preventing plot holes or inconsistencies. The Eowyn thing isn't really explained very well in the theatrical cut, and this was down to scenes being cut out. But basically, she chose to become human to be with Aragorn and had to leave, and due to this decision, she is now dying. In the theatrical cut, it's just very vague. But she urges her father to reforge the mighty sword for the big battle, which is truly an epic moment. But hey, credit to Lord of the Rings for inspiring every single superhero movie in existence with a damn laser in the sky.
They did eventually stop doing the lasers. I don't know what happened. I guess enough people said stop doing lasers.
What happened with enough people? Yeah.
Enough with the lasers.
To be fair, a battle starts quite early on in the film, which is an awesome way to kickstart the beginning of the end. It really is a heartwarming moment when Gandalf and Pippin find out that Sam and Frodo are still alive. The group spends so much of this trilogy separated, so you want them so desperately to reunite. And it adds to their isolation. Sam and Frodo have no idea where the others are. Gandalf is dead, and so could Merry and Pippin be for all they know. So literally, they have nothing to live for. They are here to save the world, and that's it.
I mean, I wouldn't word it that way. Nothing to live for. There's things to live for. But yeah, they don't know the fate of any of their friends.
Cream, yeah. That's true.
Yeah, and 11 herbs and spices for the potatoes,
roast
right?
chicken, that's true, that's true.
They don't care what happens to them. There's a really emotional moment as Pippin sings a song as everyone prepares for battle. It's a nice little interlude to separate the scenes from the big action we're about to see.
Have you learned nothing?
Oh, is that you didn't want to talk more? Because that scene is particularly it can almost surprise you watching Lord of the Rings. That scene, it's very serious and cruel, I would say almost.
Think of the stubbornness of dwarves.
You might as well accept it. We're going with you, laddie.
We're all gonna leave all these innocent people to struggle without us. You really feel for Merry. He wants to fight and just do his bit.
I don't think that's fair.
Well, go on, Rags. Say more.
Well, I mean, they're gonna go get the army that's gonna come through for him in the end. It's not like they're abandoning them, you know.
Okay, well,
You're sticking with a friend.
counterpoint. Why didn't they tell anybody?
I don't know.
Because that's actually our commentary when we're watching it. We say, you remember Gambling or whatever is like, they abandon us because they know there's no hope. And then Theoden's like, shut the fuck up. It's, or whatever. But it's, we were like, why wouldn't they have made it clear to everyone even? It's like, we're getting reinforcements. You guys, we're going to win. We're going to fucking win. Don't you worry. Instead of just leaving, which is weird.
Yeah, it's fair.
Nobody takes him seriously and wants to ride with him until Eowyn obliges. The battle is hyped up so well as Aragorn asks all these dead fellas to help them out.
The line has ended!
I mean, it hasn't. You could still go out and have another kid. I'm just saying.
He can't do that. There's Uruk-hai everywhere. What else is he going to do that?
He hasn't got time for that.
Maybe that's the thrill.
Oh, no.
It's sticky. What is it?
Hobbits is come!
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. As soon as you said sticky, I was like, here it comes.
There's a scene that definitely should have been cut. After Frodo sends Sam away, he goes back down the stairs and finds the food that Gollum discarded. This scene is entirely pointless. The audience clearly see Gollum getting rid of the food earlier, and Sam knows it wasn't him, so there's no need for this big reveal. Furthermore, it goes...
I think the reason they have this scene is to let us know what makes Sam come back. I guess you could infer, like, why wouldn't he just come back anyway? But I think that makes you then wonder why he would have left at all. So I think that the idea is he now sees the proof that he was framed.
Yeah.
So it gives him...
I go on to say that I think it ruins the reveal that he's coming back later, but I had a friend point out that the point of the scene is more Sam realizes, oh shit, I didn't imagine it. I'm not going crazy. It was.
Yeah, I think it's like he knows that he really is like it shows how, evil, Gollum is.
Goes against Sam's entire character to just give up when Frodo sends him away. He would have stuck around and followed him no matter what. He wouldn't have gone back down the stairs. But thirdly, he shows up later to save Frodo anyway, so this scene ruins that surprise as we know he's coming back. It's just stupid. You can tell visually how much impact this ring has had on Frodo's mental state. He's a complete mess. But then Gollum shows up. How did he survive that fall? What is it with characters in these films surviving the impossible?
I think when you see him falling down, it does look like he's grasping at the wall.
Sliding down it and grabbing it.
Yeah. Like, I think the idea is that once he slips into the darkness, he does get a hold of something. But I think when we see him again, he looks wounded, right?
He looks roughed up. He looks pretty messed up.
There is
more messed up than normal, actually.
Yeah.
This moment where
That's
Frodo
true. By
is actually
Gollum standards, he looks bad.
about to give up, but gets a vision morale boost. But then the spider shows up anyway. It's so tragic because of just how close he is to Mount Doom at this point. But oh, what a surprise! Sam is back.
Hey, this part's legendary, okay? Sam versus Shelob. Love it.
It is pretty cool. Yeah.
As explained, this conflict wasn't actually in the book. So in the novel, Sam and Frodo entered the spider's lair together. Frodo was also beaten a lot more by the orcs, but this conflict works a lot better in the film and benefits Frodo's heroism and friendship with Sam perfectly. The thing is, Sam believes Frodo is dead, and honestly, you kind of believe it at this point. Frodo's been close to dead so many times before this, but after this huge epic journey, you actually kind of believe he could die, and that maybe Sam will take the ring the rest of the way for him. It's such an emotion.
You know what's funny is when I think when I first watched this and this scene was happening and then the orcs begin to arrive, I was like really frustrated because I was like, I swear to God, if Sam left the ring on Frodo's body, that'd be the most retarded fucking decision ever. And then, later when he finds some stuff and he's like, he had it, I was like, oh shit, he does. And then I was like, oh, this is interesting. Sam's got the ring. And in a way, it's almost like, Maybe you should just go and take it to Mount Doom. You seem to be more level-headed, Sam. Just Frodo can sit down, have a breather, have a cup of water, something like that. You can come back later. It'd be great.
Emotional moment.
Right now! Right now!
We can't. You're in the way, mate. This is what's great about the trilogy. Everything has come full circle. The journey, the characters, the battles, they all mean so much, and it's fantastic. Okay, this shot is really bad. It's so out of place with the rest of the scene. It looks like it was accidentally put in. Just a randomly, poorly focused slow-mo shot.
Wait, she's looking at...
The reason this, because I totally agree, it is out of whack with a lot of stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's very deliberate. It's her whole world is falling apart right now. She's seeing Theoden get basically killed, which is one of the most inspirational and important people to her. I think it's deliberately shot so that everything is like out of focus, all wagging. We're zooming in on her, and it's slowed down. It's something we brought up actually about Zack Snyder. And we'll talk about this when we do our Rebel Moon coverage, if that happens. I'm not guaranteeing anything. But he does a lot of slow-mo all the fucking time. The reason we have slow-mo in a lot of instances is so that we can take a moment to understand what a character is feeling, because sometimes can be so quick. Like if they're feeling something that lasts about a second, in watching a movie for a character's reaction for 1 second, it might not be enough. Like we'll just be like, wait, what the fuck was that? So you slow it and expand it out into like 4 seconds. Then we can actually see what's happening. And I assume that's what the point of this is to show that she can't believe what's about to happen. And of course, this is going to be why she's going to make the decision she's about to, which is to stand in front of the Witch King. Like, I understand why someone would see it as odd or strangely shot, but I assume that's part of the point, is to show how disjointed and insane what she's experiencing is right now.
Okay. For a trilogy that is otherwise really well produced and directed, it's weird that this made it in there. But when the ghosts join the battle,
Yeah, for the record, I'm not against slow-mo. I like slow-mo. I just don't like Zack Snyder
pointless slow-mo that makes me hate slow-mo.
The funniest thing about Zack Snyder is he slow-mo'd his slow-mo in Rebel Moon. There's a shot that's in slow-mo and it slows down again, like in the slow-mo. It's fucking insane. He needs to
think he's made something that we want to see for longer.
It looks awesome.
For anyone who's seen the movie, I'm talking about the shot where he jumps on the hippogriff thing. It's slow-mo and then it slows again. Like, it's a real thing. I'm not making it up.
No man can kill me.
I am no man.
A great line in 2003, a genuine clarification in 2023. What? What's going on in the future? Wish you didn't scream straight after.
All of the
That kind of
things.
kills the moment.
Nothing
Sam,
good.
they took the ring.
Don't know why. I told them the Japanese version is better, but they wouldn't listen. But Sam...
Hey,
Not true. I
like them both.
I
but
disagree.
if I was to pick one, it probably would be the American one. I'm just saying. Which is a controversial opinion, possibly. I checked discussions. It seemed that people were pretty split on them. Which is like the only instance of a adaptation of like a Japanese horror or Korean horror that the American one is like respected even.
Yeah.
But I like them both. Rings, however, I don't know if you've seen that. Holy shit, that was awful.
Rings is balls.
Damn, that was a bad movie. What a
That one
waste.
sucks. Just see the first two.
Yeah.
The last one's terrible.
They're on an airplane, and all of the screens turn into the ring, and it's like, what the hell? Why would that happen? It's like, shut up! It's cool. It's awesome.
Spooky.
Ugh, it's marvelization of horror. It's just like, go away.
I had the ring the whole time. In the book, this was actually told to the reader early on, so there was no big reveal. So I'm starting to believe that Tolkien just didn't understand suspenseful tension. Frodo collapses just outside of Mount Doom.
You should start a fight with Tolkien. See what he says on Twitter. You should at him. See if he says anything back. He might do.
You can tell the impact it's had on him. Sam even carries him up there, and it's such an emotional moment and really solidifies the strength of their friendship. In the book, when Sam had the ring, it also took its toll on him, but that was cut out of the film to focus on his determination to protect Frodo instead. His well-being is all that's on his mind. And
Yeah, I saw people talking about it. I'm assuming, does Sam use the ring to help him get through Cirith Ungol? Because I guess would make sense somewhat. because that would be quite a thing to have happen for him to put it on. But I can see the decision to not do it also having value to, like, you know, Sam never actually is either tempted, corrupted, or uses the ring. Like, he's that resilient, you know?
Yeah.
It's probably a good idea, because that would give them up if you used it there. They would know where you are.
How does the book account for that, then?
I don't know.
I think it works a lot better. This is also intercut with Gimli finally letting go of his racism and accepting Legolas as a friend.
That's a funny statement, letting go of his racism.
His prejudice, his bigotry, his
Take that racism and just let it go.
He's you do wonder if Legolas is like, are you like cool with elves now? And Gimli's like,
I'm cool with an elf. I have an elf friend.
Yeah, we'll take it piece by piece. Yeah.
Great message about friendship.
Oh, this scene. So good.
We should make another trilogy about Bilbo.
For Frodo.
Okay,
So
I must
good.
admit, that does give me goosebumps. But this Mount Doom scene is
It's crazy. Return of the King gets to a point where it's just like, oh, this scene and this one and this one and this one and like, because we're done with setups, it's all paying off at this point.
incredible. It is so worth the 9-hour wait, man.
What are you waiting for?
The Goonies 2! In the book, Gollum accidentally slips into the volcano, but it was changed, and they were going to have Frodo shove him in. But that made him look more like a psycho murderer, so instead they had it become somewhat accidental. Which is a cliche, but it does fit the story better.
I might have preferred him pushing Gollum in the ring.
I think I prefer what they actually went with. The idea that they're both so obsessed with the ring is what destroys it is kind of cool.
Yeah, I
definitely
think
a lot
I'm
of merit to
inclined
that.
to agree. The idea of Frodo just like shoving him over, I don't like that. I don't,
But like, give me that my ring. No, it's my ring. My ring. Oh shit!
Exactly.
Like,
And then them falling down. Yeah, they do the thing that it's what a lot of the older Disney films did, where they essentially absolve the protagonist of any like moral culpability. Usually, the villain essentially gets themselves killed, or through their own hubris or their own mistake. Right? It's that those kinds of things where it's like, well, make sure that the like how Tarzan tries to save Clayton. Or how Simba like spares Scar, and then
we still get
he kicks him over.
Frodo's immense sense of guilt, even when the ring is gone, in the when he's looking at Sam, like.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Though I feel like that's way more like, oh shit, I really screwed up there. I'm really, really, really sorry.
I think it would. You could film it so it works and everything, but I'm just picturing now like Gollum's dad saying, "Be like, yeah," and then Frodo just goes, "Fuck off," and pushes him. And he goes, "Ah!" It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think there is some element to Frodo making that final decision and getting back at Smeagol for all the terrible things that Gollum's been doing to him. That I think would be interesting to see.
It's such an epic moment, but how the hell does Frodo still have the strength to hold onto the edge of the cliff? There is a subtle moment where he even looks down and...
He is only small, but it does look like a tough thing to hang on to, but I guess they've had experience at this point with the climbing rocks and shit for a while.
Right.
After everything he's been through, he possibly considers suicide. It's quite a dark moment for such a fun trilogy, but Sam even acknowledges it.
Copyright, robot.
No, we're fine. We got the screen now.
All right. Okay, good. Just
oh god, this is one of the best moments in the whole trilogy.
Yeah, it is. Like because Frodo's definitely like, fuck, man, I screwed up so hard, didn't I? And Sam's like, doesn't fucking matter. We're getting out of here. Come on.
Doesn't matter. Get out of here. Don't let go. Come on, live.
This is a lot deeper than I remembered. They succeed, the towers collapse, and you can see the true pride and emotion in Gandalf's eyes. At certain points throughout...
That's so... Ian McKellen's so
Dude,
fucking
Ian
good.
McKellen is one of the greatest actors of all time.
Yes. Just, knowing that Frodo was the right guy for the job.
Yeah.
Throughout the trilogy, he doubts
so then
that
have
Sam
it be
and Frodo
undercut
Yes.
by the massive explosion.
Well, it's like it is like the horror of him dying, but also knowing like, fuck, he did it. Like you know, because there's no reason not to assume that was going to happen anyway. Like it's the sacrifice they made is absolutely insane, but I guess that goes for a lot of characters.
Can actually put it off, but he's seen that they've done it and even outdone his expectations. It's beautifully handled. It's cool to see them all become reunited again, but maybe it's just me. Frodo doesn't seem that surprised to see Gandalf alive again. I mean, bear in mind that he died in Fellowship.
Disagree. I hyper disagree. The way that he says Gandalf, it's like he seems like genuinely stunned that Gandalf is here and like overwhelmed with joy that that Gandalf is alive. So yeah, sad disagree.
I need to rewatch the scene personally, but yeah.
And Frodo's had no knowledge of him being back until now. I don't know, I just expected a bigger reaction. This is when the fake out endings begin that everyone's made fun of. But I checked and they last 15 minutes.
All the fools are made fun of. That's right, all of the crazy people. It's like 20 minutes long.
It's one of the many things that gets said because the Lord of the Rings is difficult to criticize. And so it's like, yeah, well, it has too many endings. It's like, oh. Okay. I don't know, just of all the flaws, like, alright, fine. You felt the ending was too long. Okay.
Honestly, it's not that big of an issue. The movie just never seems to end. They just pad it out and walk around for no reason. The pacing is so bad. I swear to God, if you say no reason one more time. How many endings do they need? Just fade to black over and over again. It takes forever. It's not Peter Jackson's fault you got the attention span of a fucking fish. They had a lot to wrap up, and the book had even more. Yeah, this film actually cuts down on the endings, funnily enough. It's cool to see Aragorn become king, but he doesn't change who he is. He remains humble, tells his friends they don't need to bow to him, and he and everyone else actually bows to them. It's a great message, but you can see that Frodo is really uncomfortable with all of this. It continues in a bar where everyone around them is just having drinks like nothing happened, but their lives will never be the same again. Then Sam meets a random woman, chats her up, and marries her. Where the hell did this come from? The point was
in the theatrical cut, it's very out of nowhere, but the extended cut kind of lays the foundation.
But I still think it's fine.
Theatrical would be that he talks about her before they get picked up by the Eagles. He talks about how he would have asked her to marry him. So there is something there, but yes, the extended gives you a little bit more.
Yeah. Was that Frodo can't just go back and live his life, whereas Sam could, but I feel like this could have been achieved in other ways. Sam goes back and just hangs out with Merry and Pippin like normal, or even have the movie end with him flirting with someone, getting over his previous anxiety. There's no need to rush out an entire marriage and children in 5 minutes.
I quite like it because it really gives a clear understanding of how much time has passed and that Sam is more than he's not just content, like he's creating new life. There's new adventures, so to speak, to be had. Like Sam is really moving on, while Frodo can't. Like that's the comparison. I think it's relatively effective and particularly sad too, in a bittersweet, I guess.
It's such an epic journey, so you get where Frodo is coming from. He's a ruined man and feels completely lost. The Fells on the ship would have been the perfect ending. None of it dragged, it wrapped everything up perfectly. This was great. But no, we gotta have Sam and his stupid wife and his stupid kids. This should have been cut.
Wow.
His stupid wife and his stupid kids? Oh my goodness.
This is before I saw the extended cuts, alright?
Okay.
Still!
I would say even then, like I think this is a great place to end.
Oh, I love it.
He met a girl and they had a bunch of Hobbit children.
And it was stupid wife, his stupid kids.
Sam, your kids are like 5, mate. You've been back for a while. This line makes no sense. One other thing these films get flack for is being too...
But that was after he'd come back from with Frodo and stuff, right? Saying goodbye to everybody.
Which is a decent track. Yeah. That's a decent little journey, that.
Yeah. That's Rivendell they're leaving from, isn't it? Or am I mixing it up?
I don't think it's Rivendell.
Or some port.
Somewhere else,
I don't think... Some port, yeah, but I don't think Rivendell's on the coast.
Is it near it to Rivendell or the Shire? I can't remember geography-wise, but... They take it doesn't matter. It's not that important.
Long, which is weird considering some of the most beloved movies in history were way longer. With credits, the first 2 movies' theatrical cuts clock in at just under the 3-hour mark. And I don't think they even drag. There's never a moment where they linger on a sequence for a bit too long, or they out...
Oh, it's the Grey Havens. So-called Lord of the Rings fans. I haven't read the book, I'm sorry. I love the movies. They're amazing, okay? Maybe I should read the book someday. Yeah, interesting experience, especially because everyone fights over whether things were adapted better, worse, or the same, and have done for so long. And I always get like fun facts that oftentimes seem contradictory, and I want to find out who this Tom Bombadil guy is. Everyone always talks about him. Magical god person in the woods. And yeah, there are like multiple audiobooks, right? As well.
Yeah.
I think last time the recording Wolf was selling the Andy Serkis ones, which sounds interesting.
He can voice act all of the characters perfectly.
Pretty much.
Outstay their welcome. But Return of the King crosses that mark. Without credits, it's just over 3 hours. If you're familiar with this channel, you'll know that I have a 3-hour rule. I have never seen a movie that is over 3 hours and is warranted to be over 3 hours. Even Titanic, which is one of my favourite movies of all time, shouldn't be the length it is. So, is Return of the King worthy of being over 3 hours? Let's make some edits that I would want to make and see how we go. All the stuff with Sam's wife can go. It's
damn.
Oh, you're off to such a bad
the
start.
bar scene, the wedding, the ending.
Hear me out.
All right.
We're
We're
murdering the Sam's
Sam
wife.
discovering the bread and ruining the surprise. That's all gone too. And yeah, it's under 3 hours.
But you're cutting from the theatricals. It doesn't count.
It has to be the theatrical, yeah.
Oh yeah, if it was the extended, you're doomed.
Like an hour of film.
Although we should put Saruman's death back in because that kind of needs to be in there. So if we do that, then
Damn. And there's way more. You got to get that Boromir scene back in. Okay, we got it.
no. Well, there you have it. Return of the King is the first movie I've seen that warrants being over 3 hours. The trilogy is a masterpiece. Definitely one of the greatest ever made. The fact that they were all made at the same time as one another really helped the pacing and story majorly. It's a phenomenal trilogy and I would recommend it to any fan of fantasy.
I'm stuck in 2017.
Well, better than 2023. You know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Star Wars
Queen.
Well, you can still. There's still some investments you can make.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. This is a massive opportunity for you.
Yeah.
That's a blooper. Yeah.
Oh,
careful. Is
Is
it a high tree?
Is it worth it for the memes?
I think so.
It's quite a high tree. It zoomed in and I nearly fell on my ass. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Nearly just died on camera.
Well, at least it was recorded.
And I'm glad you made it.
Yeah.
So this video can come out. Hey, yeah, that was good stuff. Especially because, you know, reviewing the Lord of the Rings trilogy is tough to do and have meaningful things to say, at least by our standards, within 50 minutes. Most people, like Chris Stuckman, would probably review it in 5 minutes and just mainly tell you the director and
it was directed by Peter Jackson and was filmed
who
in
directed
New
other
Zealand
things
with
and
the
stuff, but-
cooperation of the New Zealand Movie Making and Arts Grant for tax purposes. And I think it is I watched it 4 times to make sure I had the right opinion on it.
which is that I like it.
Out of 10.
But yeah, it seems like you really incorporate a lot of the sort of criticism, and you really gave Lord of the Rings a bit more of a chance, which is neat. Because I wouldn't have wanted you to like them out of pressure, as opposed to just genuinely having fun with them, sort of thing. And it looks like you have been, because a lot of the things you said about the the characters' journeys, I don't know if a lot of that was like said to you in comments and you saw if it worked, or if it's just stuff you picked up yourself, because it came across as pretty genuine. Some different interactions and dynamics and stuff. It was a good watch, sir.
And honestly, it's not often that we get to watch videos on EFAP
that aren't 100% cringe.
Yeah, but I was gonna say that some of the comedy actually was kind of funny. So that's not something that's very common for us. Normally, the comedy in the movies or the videos we cover sucks balls, but some of it was good. I like the little
Some self-aware stuff in there that was fun.
Yeah,
I liked it. Yeah, it's pretty good.
My plan was to sit down and I was like, I'm probably still gonna hate them, but I can at least have some kind of valid criticism this time, and I'll make some EFAP references. And then I got through each one. And I was like, it's actually quite good. What's going on? And yeah, my favourite's actually Two Towers. But it's like picking your favourite child. I think all three are great.
Oh, I have a favourite. Oh.
Genuinely, I never know what the person will pick because I've heard Fellowship 2000, Return of the King from like everybody. It's you never know what the person will pick. I can't remember. Are all three of us Fellowship? I know.
I'm Fellowship.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But a lot of people like whenever someone says like, "Oh, I picked this one," it's like, "Yeah, because of this," and they're like, "Yeah." You're like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it all makes sense why you could pick any given film. Each of them are excellent.
And yeah, I would totally recommend checking out the extendeds for all three, and watching with friends or whatever. And the thing Lord of the Rings fans tend to do is just make a marathon out of it. A yearly pilgrimage, because. I don't know how things are in your perspective of media, your channel's point of view on it all, but we kind of over here feel like things have suffered a bit in Hollywood, and that films, because like all the discussions about Lord of the Rings and beyond the writing, just all the ways that the films were produced and lovingly crafted, it just feels like a very dead art, or at least just there's hardly anyone left who's got anywhere close to the kind of production investment. I've even seen people say you shouldn't attribute the Lord of the Rings trilogy of films to Hollywood because of all the effort and creativity was done in like New Zealand. And on that same vein, it's like, well, that is Hollywood working correctly, I would argue, that they know who to give the money to and where to send them or where to allow them to go. And looking back, it's like this insane thing that happened that we don't even know how it happened. Like, and we're so fucking lucky that we got him.
Well, it's remarkable because it's there really is like no other trilogy that challenges Lord of the Rings for being the best trilogy. Usually there's one, there's one movie that lets it down.
Oftentimes,
yeah.
Then again, I mean, you have stuff like Indiana Jones that's a lot more consistent as like a quality trilogy. Obviously,
Indiana Jones
Star
feels
Wars,
like it would be number 2.
I think it would be because there's no other trilogy I can think of that was as consistent. Because with anything else, it'd be like, well, Return of the Jedi has some seriously weak elements. Alien 3,
Back to the Future would be another top dog as well. I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That one would be more competitive. And then of course, The Matrix. Oof, damn. One like legendary film, and then the other one's like, okay. Toy Story until the fourth one. Three is weaker than 1 and 2, I would say.
Like, I never made a fourth one. Toy Story 4 never.
No, the fourth one didn't happen.
Are they making a fifth? Is that happening? It is, right?
Yep, they are.
No, dude, it's been a bad year for Disney. They're probably looking to see like, fuck, all right, what sequels can we make?
How many Toy Stories can we make?
But then again, Lightyear didn't really pan out, so
I'm glad I skipped that one.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but bad things for Lightyear.
Nobody watched it. That's the problem.
I heard that it's like a crazy, wacky fucking storyline too. Like of the people who did see it, which are very few. I mean, there's Wish. I've heard good things about that, right? Everyone loves Wish.
Oh yes, Wish.
I've heard that Wish exists at
Everybody's
times.
real excited. Man, what a great way to celebrate 100 years of Disney. That movie. What a good idea that was.
Hell yeah. What are you? What films are you excited for, Rob?
I don't think there is any. What have I seen? I've seen a few films this year. I saw. Little Mermaid was. Well, Little Mermaid. What else came out this year? Mario was okay.
Yeah.
I saw Wonka today, actually.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Yeah, Wonka was actually. It was alright. I quite enjoyed it.
I've seen a couple of people say it's better than assumed. Like everyone assumes it's going to be shit. Apparently, it's not.
It's
not a consolation, right? Yeah, it's not a consolation, but it's better than the Tim Burton one. But no, I enjoyed it. What else
did
came
you
out
see?
this year?
Did you see Oppenheimer?
I didn't.
Oh, you should.
Yeah, I'd recommend.
Check it out.
It is my second favorite movie of the year.
Oh my goodness, Fringy! What is your favorite film of the year?
My favorite movie of the year is The Killer, David Fincher's new movie. It's my favorite movie.
Available on Netflix now.
That's right. Watch it and understand it, please.
No. You know what?
Like
watch it back to back with Rebel Moon. That'll make you like it more.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Also available on Netflix.
Yeah.
I've heard Chicken Run 2 is meant to be pretty bad.
Oh damn, that's out, isn't it? We
It's
gotta
out
watch
now?
that. We gotta watch
Oh,
it. It's on
yeah.
Netflix.
And I love
Wait, it's
the
out
first
now
chicken run.
already?
Yeah, it's out. I think it came
already
out
out,
like
yeah.
maybe
Oh
a
my
day or two ago.
god, there's so many things.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
Gotten ridiculous, I tell you.
People are asking not
Indiana.
Godzilla. I like Godzilla -1. It's not my favorite movie of the year though.
Me and Rags
Indiana
gotta see.
You should see it. It's I think it's solid. I think
Well,
it's a solid movie.
Mel's coming over in a couple of days. We're gonna go see it in the cinema together. It'll be
Yeah,
fun.
no, you should watch it in cinema. Yeah,
Giant
definitely.
lizard movie.
Catch it on the big screen. It's impressive how much they managed to accomplish with their very, very, very small budget.
What was the budget?
Like I think it was like 15 million, less than $15 million. I think.
Yeah, he's been trying to crack the record, right? The director on the budget.
Yeah, it actually wasn't that high.
10
Yeah.
million, 13. Yeah, I'm not sure how much exactly, but
Yeah, turns out you can actually do a lot with relatively little.
Well, and also
you
can do more. You can do more with the big lizard movie than just have really shit like
Characters.
drama.
Yeah.
Human
then
drama for 93% of the movie. Yeah.
You can actually have a Godzilla movie where you had an idea for a story that was relevant to Godzilla thematically, like a story that has characters and like interesting characters and likable characters as well. It's way better than the Western Godzilla movies. Godzilla -1 is way better than fucking Godzilla King of the Monsters. But remember, some of you guys thought it was good. All right.
Whoa, whoa, all
I
right,
remember.
jeez. Pull
I
him
do
out.
remember. But it was like, oh yeah, no, it's what we want out of a Godzilla movie. And then Godzilla -1 comes out and it's like an actual movie. and now we all realize like, oh right, you can actually have like a Godzilla movie be a movie, like a story with characters and themes.
It was a very wacky experience. I still remember I tweeted out the human stuff was horrendously bad about King of the Monsters, and a lot of the replies I got were from people saying, why the hell do you care about the human stuff in a Godzilla movie?
Because it's
now
93% of the fucking movie.
And now everyone's
Well, it's just
praising the
funny,
human
right?
stuff in the new Godzilla movie.
Because the new Godzilla movie is a story that has characters and a
Yep.
story.
Yeah, because all you need to do is write them well. That's it.
Like,
That's
well,
the key.
Have like thematic elements that are relevant to the main character and relevant to Godzilla and actually tie them together.
Yeah. Rob, you mentioned you'd seen Dial of Destiny. What was your take on that?
Oh dear.
Come on, it was so good.
You loved it.
Right, so I love Raiders. I'm in the minority. I actually thought Temple of Doom was slightly better.
Oh my god!
Oh, we actually share an opinion there. That's actually something
Yeah.
that's one of my controversial opinions.
Ah,
It's a lot darker, and I like that. Last Crusade, I don't love as much as everyone else, but I don't hate it. I think it's all right.
That's my
So
favorite.
it's-
so.
And that's where we do deviate because that's
my
I think
favorite,
that's
yeah.
our favorite. Yeah, it's our
But-
favorite one.
To be fair, I've seen
Good,
Raiders
yeah.
and Temple a lot more, so I'd have to rewatch
Okay.
Last Crusade. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is awful, and then the Dial of Destiny, I had like no expectations, and it made
They
me
still
miss
weren't met.
It made me
That is,
miss Shia LaBeouf. It's so bad. Like it makes Kingdom of the Crystal Skull look like Raiders. It's so bad.
I would say
I had some.
that it's a runner for the worst movie of the year.
Yeah, there's
in
a
the
couple.
running.
We'll probably talk about this on the New Year's stream, but like, because I got to do it with Gary as well. I think for FNT, but like, looking back on the year, we've had some fucking stinkers. It's been
We've
shocking.
had some real bad ones. But the I guess the silver lining is that a lot of these stinkers failed spectacularly.
Yeah.
Like in a spectacular fashion that's kind of unprecedented. This has been an awful year for superhero films in terms of making
I was going
money.
to say, wasn't Ant-Man 3 was this year, right?
Ant-Man 3
It was
was
like
this
earlier in
year,
the year.
and that one underperformed to the point that I think it's accepted that it lost money. And then obviously the
Yeah.
Marvels was a spectacular box office bomb, the worst, lowest grossing MCU movie, lower than Incredible Hulk that came out like 15 years ago,
Oh, wow.
and that's not even accounting for inflation. Obviously,
Guardians
DC
3 was good.
Well, Guardians 3 was successful, that's for
It
sure.
sure was.
Guardians 3 had some good stuff in
Not
it.
only was Guardians 3 successful, it was beloved by many. So, you know.
I liked Guardians 3, but when people were saying it was the best Marvel film since Endgame, I'm like, have we just forgotten No Way Home?
Yeah, I guess so.
Fair. A fair
And of
statement.
course, it's funny when you
Fair.
say best
That
one
is
since
fair.
Endgame. That's an interesting sort of, because I hear that a lot. Yeah, it's the best one since
Yeah.
Endgame. It's like,
We have
I think you mean Infinity War, but yeah.
Yeah, we have quite a storied history of covering everything Marvel. And I say that, right? And I felt it confidently. And then I'm like, well, no. We didn't cover Hawkeye. We didn't cover Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel. And what else did we...
I don't think...
something else, right?
Oh, Eternal... Well,
technically,
we had you did a summary of Eternal, so I guess that counts.
Nobody cared about that film, so...
We would have talked briefly about the first 2 episodes of What If, yeah.
But season 2's out. Are you excited? You're going to check out these great... I'm going to read some...
Yeah, read them off, because, yeah.
Yeah, because one of my favorite things about What If is how the What If questions are terrible. That's one of my favorite... What if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? Wow, that's like
I don't give a shit at all.
What if Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes? But why?
Why?
And he did, remember? In Infinity War, and then they became pals.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
What if Happy Hogan saved Christmas?
Yeah. Well, it's just a meme, I guess.
Well, because they're releasing one day after the next, so they're not doing weekly release. These are all coming out one day after the other, so all the way until the end of the year. What if Iron Man crashed into the Grand Master?
Okay.
What if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper?
I don't care.
What if Kahori, I don't know what that, reshaped the world?
Yeah, sure. What if that happened?
What if Hela found the 10 rings? Yes, because when I was watching Thor Ragnarok, the interesting question on my mind was, man, wouldn't it have been interesting to see what... Here's one, if you were going to do one with Hela. What if, like, Odin and Hela continued their conquest? What if they never stopped?
Yeah.
Doesn't that just instantly seem like, why don't you take, like, an event that happens in the film and then go, you know, what happens if we just tweak it even a little bit? Why is it these bizarre things like, yeah, I always wondered what would happen if your OC, Captain Carter, fought a Hydra Stomper. Yeah, that really... You answered a question that's been burning in the back of my mind ever since Iron Man 1.
You always... surely you want to go back throughout the MCU and find all of the close shaves or the pathways that almost got taken that would have been completely different. I was just thinking about Doctor Strange. It's like, what if Dormammu won and the Dark Dimension started to infect the whole world? How does that... You can make it one episode, he probably wins, but like, what do all the heroes do? I don't know.
I mean, and the one that I've really been fascinated by is like, what if Tony died? What if when he got hit by the shrapnel, it killed him? Like, that was
no Iron Man.
Yeah. And then we see what happens with Obadiah and how he takes over the company and all of the potential ramifications of that. Because what happens, you know, like, what is the nature of Fury instituting, like, the Avenger Initiative when Tony's not there?
And that's the imagination here is Hela getting the 10 rings. Like, why did you even suggest that? What? Hela with the 10
why
rings?
was that a suggestion? Why did it get past everybody? Why did everybody say... By the way, we got 2 more. The next one is, what if the Avengers assembled in 1602?
I mean,
and then the last one is, what if Strange Supreme intervened?
Okay.
This is a really good use of time and money.
I was going to say, they could... There's nothing stopping them from making interesting stuff. Why aren't they making interesting stuff?
I don't know.
Like,
do they hate being interesting? I don't understand.
I don't know. I guess I am baffled that these are like the best ideas. And remember, like, some of the other ones I had, like, what if zombies? What if... See, this would be, what if Ultron won? It's like, okay, that's better, like, as a premise. Like, what if he actually defeated... But I'm sure it was stupid. Those first 2 episodes were, like, embarrassing. It was astounding.
Well, didn't he kill Thanos with his laser? And it was like,
just
powered up, but still.
Yeah, chopped him in half, which, yeah, I don't know about that, but alright. Like, with no stones, Thanos was able to take on Thor. I don't think that the laser... Remember, the laser... Vision's laser couldn't even destroy, like, Ultron. They needed all 3 of them together to, like, wear him down, and it didn't even, like, obliterate him completely. But that would mean watching the past films and remembering what happened in them, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Fun. But what Chicken Run, right? That's got to be. We gotta watch Chicken Run, right?
We have to. Has anyone else seen it in the world?
I don't. I wanna know. I really love the first Chicken Run, so I think I need to know.
We'll watch
what happened.
The enthusiasm.
You got to watch that and Aquaman 2 back to back.
Fucking hell.
I feel like thematically speaking, they suit each other pretty well. So.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, nobody disagrees. All right, cool.
No, yeah.
How about the Twilight movies for Christmas? Why?
Oh my god.
Why don't you do that? Well, anyway, Rob, what's next for you? Are you just trying to get some reviews done? Because you're doing that 1001 movies thing. Have you completed that, or?
No. Lord of the Rings was 100. At the minute, I'm on like, well, I've scheduled ahead of time, so I don't even know what I'm on at the minute. 120 or something. I'm focusing more on my other channel, so this month I'm taking a bit of a break. I got another channel where I do like true crime documentaries, so I'm kind of focusing on that. But I'll be back with reviews next year. I did all of the Marvel films earlier this year, which is quite fun because I hadn't actually seen a good chunk of them.
Which one's your favorite?
Infinity War blew my fucking mind.
I like Infinity War.
I remember watching. I watched it with my partner, and I was like proper geeking out. And then there's the part in Wakanda where Thor flies in and lands, and then Bruce Banner's like, "Oh, you're all screwed now," and I just lost my mind. I was like, "Oh my god, it's so good!" And because I watched them not chronologically, release date order.
Yeah.
So by the time Infinity War ended, I just wanted to go straight to Endgame. I had to watch the ones in between. I was actually quite disappointed with Endgame.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. It's not good that you were sad, but it's, you know.
I was so hyped for Endgame, and then I'm like, oh. Like, okay. So when people are like, it's the best one since Endgame. Really?
Best one since Infinity War, right? That's the real metric.
Infinity War peaked, and then after that, I loved No Way Home. Okay, like Guardians 3 was fine. I liked it, but it's not.
Yeah, a lot of Marvel fans now like to think that it ends with Infinity War, that ending, the credits where it's all depressing, everyone's dead. It's like, that's the end of the MCU. There you go. Sails off into the sunset. It's over. It's like, oh. Yeah, because they're in a bit of trouble right now. Us keeping an eye on Star Wars and Marvel is a lot of what we do on EFAP, and holy moly, it's been a rocky ride.
Star Wars of the world, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Disney's IPs are just absolutely floundering. It's crazy. We're in an unprecedented time, and it's getting more and more addressed publicly by sources that wouldn't normally ever admit that that's the problem, but there's no money talks, and they ain't making it anymore, which is annoying them, I think. Even though they're spending hundreds of millions on these projects, people are just ain't going to see them. They're going to go see Barbie or Five Nights at Freddy's or an R-rated 3-hour biopic, like, because that's what people do now. They don't go to see the superheroes because.
What's your least favorite Marvel film?
Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness.
Yep.
Okay.
Fucking hate
one of the worst movies ever.
If you want to know why, I made a 6-hour video with the help of Fringy and a few other editors. Yeah, I've never come across a film with more contradictions. It holds the record, and I don't think it'll ever be broken. Staggering.
Someone put in the chat that I want to talk about. I walked out of Endgame when the girls pose for a couple. Yeah, so that scene actually bothered me because, like, one, Spider-Man says in that scene, like, "Oh, Captain Marvel can't handle the gauntlet on her own." Like, she literally just took down an entire ship single-handedly. Yeah. But then they do this whole like feminist scene, which is fair enough. But like most of the women there don't know each other. There's no unity.
No.
But most
what
of them
are the odds? You know, that they all ended up at that exact point in the battlefield.
Yeah.
What does he just highlight? What the hell's Mantis going to do to help Captain Marvel?
Yeah,
Mantis.
Literally, only about 2 of them actually have superpowers. You got Pepper Potts,
and the rescue suit
had powers. Yeah, and then I don't get the point of that. It was just so poorly handled.
Well, it's crazy because Infinity War did it way better. The 3 girls on the battlefield that helped each other out against the Proxima Midnight, right? And they killed it all together. They were there at the time. One of them needed help. Funnily enough, the most powerful one out of the 3 got helped by 2 of the way lower powered ones. It was kind of a cool moment. And then they were like, "Oh, you like that? How about every woman turns up at the same time?"
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell are you doing?
I think my first sign of Endgame that it wasn't going to work was they killed Thanos in the first like 15 minutes, and I was like, oh,
that was weird,
this,
yeah,
because
they killed off the cool Thanos, and then we got lame goober Thanos.
Yes,
I was told in advance that they do time travel, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see what they. And at first, I thought it was quite interesting because Hulk does this whole thing where you don't mess up the timeline, and they make some Back to the Future jokes. I'm like, okay, it's kind of funny, but then it just seemed like a nostalgia trip. Like, let's just go through previous films. And
yeah, they do
really
things incredibly inefficiently to be like, look, it's Avengers 2012. You like Avengers 2012. Look, it's Guardians of the Galaxy. You like that one? Like,
And then they say, oh, it doesn't affect timelines if you go back, but then the movie ends with Cap taking the stones back. But I thought it didn't affect timelines, unless I'm missing something here.
No, the time travel doesn't make any fucking sense. The more you think about it, it gets worse and worse.
It's completely dysfunctional.
Especially because multiple people come back from the dead. But yet Tony and Natasha, they stay dead. They've got to stay dead. They can't come back. Everyone else is
like
fine.
How
Loki's back.
They're doing this insane universal outright magic that just has no limits or anything. And then he's like, I tried to bring Natasha back, but I just couldn't. It's like, oh yeah? You just couldn't? Okay. That's our rule. We just can't. It's like, alright, fine. You say so. It's it's been a wacky ride.
Eternals was a film, I think.
It was, yes.
I don't remember anything from it. I remember Angelina Jolie was there doing something. Shang-Chi. I like Shang-Chi. I don't remember a lot from it, but I remember enjoying it for what it was.
We rated that one the highest of all of the
That was
shit
the
ones.
highest. Yeah, I think it still is the highest, except for No Way Home.
Yeah. Just
At a 3 out of 10. Yeah, that's.
I just hesitate to remember. It's like fuck.
Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of movies and TV shows, and very, very few of them have been of quality.
Even Wakanda Forever, I'm like, that was the one underwater, I think.
A bit underwater, yeah.
Which is a shame, because the first Black Panther I really liked.
Oh, I've got a video for that one too. I did not like that. I wanted to like it.
You didn't
Black
like
Panther. Black Panther was awesome in Civil War. I thought he was crap in his own movie. Not fair. They made him I don't know, just weak. Unfortunate, but yeah.
It's not Far From Home as well. Far From Home existed. I think Far From Home, my problem was it just turned way too cartoony. Like when you've literally got a scene where Peter Parker's on a bus and he's like, "Oh, look out there!" and then he swings through the roof of the bus to save people and then lands back in and nobody notices.
The drone.
And you've got Nick Fury, who isn't really Nick Fury, rearranging his school trip across Europe.
There's wackiness in that movie, yes, but I still like the overall points they make about like Spider-Man's role compared to Iron Man now that he's gone, sort of thing. Like I feel like there's more character work in that than almost all of the newest stuff as it comes out. Like I don't know if you saw the Marvels, but like it is difficult to mine that movie for character. Like digging everywhere, looking for anything. It's downright crazy. Because what would people celebrate the MCU for back in the day was like, yeah, as much as the plots might not make sense or that they don't fully connect, it's like you can always get a core character that you care about. That's the important thing. They're going on some kind of journey that you can relate to in some way, shape, or form. But it's like they've completely lost that at this point.
I am scared to watch the Marvels, I'm not going to lie. Captain Marvel was awful.
Yes, it was.
And then she appears in Endgame, and oh dear. Yeah, Captain Marvel. I tried to like it, or
you hate women. It's okay. You can admit it. It's fine. You're among you're among allies here of women.
I remember in one of the earlier films, Nick Fury says something like, "Last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye," and you're like, "Oh, I wonder what this is." It's a cat. A cat scratched out his eye.
We've been told by many people that that's really funny, and that's why that's good. Like, oh. That's the way to do it. But I was going to say, you need to head out soon, so we'll probably actually wrap up there. And don't be saying short man bad. You guys got 8
just got
complete
8 hours of Lord of the Rings.
edited hours, all right? We're allowed to, but we're also going to be making some extra things for you anyway. We got some other stuff we got to do, so don't you worry. But I think this makes for an excellent Christmas gift. The wonderful addition of cinematic Venom to the EFAP cast, in a sense. We'll happily, if you're interested, have you back someday, maybe, to play a game of Gothic Phone or to react to some videos online. You never know. It'd be all kinds of fun.
I'll be down for that.
But, honestly, man, I really appreciate you coming on, and I hope that...
Absolutely, I really do appreciate it as well, yeah.
Hope things are on the up and up for you. I hope things are going better. I wouldn't want
definitely
any of the crazy nastiness of the internet to have overcome you in any way, shape, or form. And you know what? Like, it just... I get a sense from you that you're passionate about film, at least as an art form in some way, shape, or form, and that you want to make your own stuff, and it's,
Yeah, as long as they're not acting gay, then I'm all for it.
A good rule.
It's a really solid rule of thumb. That's what you stick to. Do you want to tell chat where they can find you, where you're, what you're up to and stuff?
So, I mean, I've still got the same. Let me type in the chat. But yeah, you can just find me on Cinematic Venom. I've got another channel called Seeking Answers, which is the true crime. Oh, I just tried to type. There we go. I've got a true crime channel called Seeking Answers, which does cover a documentary about that person who was in the original Lord of the Rings review. Cheap plug there for my trauma. Yeah, go check out the other channel. Movie reviews will be continuing. That's about it.
All right. Yeah. I've got you linked in the description as well, and I think a lot of people are really excited to see you, just to see what you're up to and everything, and make sure. Like I said, no hard feelings certainly not on our end, and I assume not on yours. It's just a matter of we love Lord of the Rings. We checked out a video that wasn't so happy with it, and it seems that it only took a few
Can't
years.
Imagine why.
It's a legend. It's considered one of the favorite episodes of all time. So
it really is.
This is an achievement.
You've brought a lot of people great joy.
You're it would mean nothing to you, but you're competing with Synthetic Man as the best episode. So we should do a tournament of EFAP episodes.
But we like you.
Yes.
So don't worry about that here.
Well, to be fair, Cinematic Venom has said at least one insightful thing, so it kind of puts him way above, you know?
Oh, yeah, you're way ahead of Synthetic Man.
I'll take that.
Not bad.
And also, we won't get into some of the other...
No. Absolutely encourage people to check out episode... Well, what is that? 218, I want to say? It's
I can't remember.
But, yeah, an epic adventure that almost killed everybody getting through it. Anyway... again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll probably wrap up there. Is there anything, Rags, Fring, you want to say before we go?
I don't think so. I'm just really glad that you were able to come on. I'm really looking forward to maybe seeing you again on something.
Yeah, we're down for that, definitely. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all.
As for updates, I got nothing. I'm just working.
Yeah,
nothing
EFAP
I want to
fans,
say either.
The plan is to be streaming the New Year episode on the 30th. I know that's not... Well, Fringy will be in... No. Will he?
No, 30th will be the 31st, so that'll be New Year's Eve.
But like late my 30th, where does that put you? Mid 31st?
No, it's Christmas Eve right now, but in the morning. So it'll put us...
I see. Well, it'll be close enough. It's a Saturday. What can we do other than that? I think I'm booked for the Sunday anyway, but point being is that we'll do our usual New Year's on then, and maybe something else... at different points. No promises. Stuff is on the way. Things are being made.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see you folks in whatever the next thing is. But for now,
before that, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Right. Good
ho
holiday.
ho.
Get your presents, eat turkey or chicken or whatever it is that you like to eat. Watch some movies, maybe. Have a good holiday, guys.
Have a lovely one. But for now,
have a good one.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you later. Bye-bye.